Welcome to another deadline stream ahead of Game Week 4, and there are so many possibilities this week for most of us, and a lot of us were very tempted to get rid of our Liverpool fullbacks, but I'm still going to show a bit more patience. It's only 3 game weeks into the season, and I have resisted the urge of a very early wildcard, but I'm going to be going through all of your messages in the chat and trying to answer your queries, your questions, and try to distinguish the best possible captain and every single decision that we need to do the best possible this week. So welcome to everyone. I really appreciate your support, and let's just go for everything. So welcome Christian, good luck everyone for the forthcoming Game Week 4. I've stuck with Trent and Robertson, so hoping for returns today. And I have Captain Salah with Kane as vice. Aronson has come into my team in place of Gordon. I like all of those decision-making, you know. As much as I prefer Rodrigo and Harrison over Aronson, I think that's a huge upgrade on Gordon right now. And I like the captaincy options you have at your disposal and the fact that you're keeping Robertson and Trent. So all the best of luck. It looks very good on paper, and hopefully you are rewarded for that. Welcome Nabil. Thoughts on getting Pascal Grosch for Neto for a free, and if I make the move, I won't have any money remaining in the bank. I think it's a worthwhile upgrade. Neto has some good fixtures for the next 3, but I still prefer Brighton and Pascal Grosch, and I think it's an upgrade, even though I think there are better options in the long term, such as Harrison and also Rodrigo. But there's a lot of things that are going to be up in the air, and a lot of things will change, I think, in the weeks and months to come. Should I also keep my Chelsea assets, such as Mount and James, or roll the transfer? I would keep the Chelsea assets for now, but it's very tempted to sell the likes of Mason Mount. But I definitely would keep Reece James. I think it's worth it. Grosch or Aronson for Neto? I prefer Grosch out of those two, but I prefer Harrison and Rodrigo right now. I'm not too sure if Rodrigo will be great long term. I like the fixtures, but some Leeds fans don't even think he's that nailed, despite being the top scorer in the Premier League. And things can change once Bamford is back. Are you going to the match today, Dylan, to sing the Saliba song? I'm not going to the game. It's very hard to get tickets right now to an Arsenal match. But yeah, I think the next time I go, yeah, the Saliba song will definitely be popular. Best midfielder for 5.7 million or lower? I think Grosch is 5.8 now, isn't he? So I think it would be Aronson. Let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure it would be Aronson. So let's see. It's a tough one, and obviously we're very early on into the season. This is kind of an educated guess. That's what I'd like to call it. But yeah, I think it would be Aronson. I'm going to check, see if there's anything else that we could possibly get in the midfield. 6 million. Yeah, so 5.7 and below. Yeah, so Grosch is 5.7. I'd say Grosch, then Aronson. That's kind of my answer there. There's always going to be a few decent options here and there, like Jensen. He's not too bad, but yeah, ultimately it's those two, I'd say. Let's see, what else do we have? Best of luck to all fantasy players out there. Anyone going for a captain other than Salah? I might go for Jesus, to be honest. Good luck to you as well. And I'm seeing quite a few people go for Jesus. Not as much as Salah. I think he's the overwhelming favourite this week. But Fulham, maybe in terms of some defensive stats, are actually worse than Bournemouth, which did surprise me after seeing that. Fulham have been very impressive going forward, but their games have been so wide open. Bournemouth have tried to play kind of a back 5 against Arsenal and City. Didn't really work, but you can obviously respect and understand the game plan. I can see what you mean, and I think Fulham have conceded 9 big chances. Bournemouth have only conceded 5, and also Arsenal are much better form than Liverpool. So I can see kind of some of the reasoning behind Jesus over Salah. What's the best wildcard team? I've put a video up on my channel. Because Zaha's injured this week, it's a very easy switch. You know, I kept talking about what's your preference in midfield and attack. Do you go for Zaha or Ivan Toney up front? Well, now just go for Ivan Toney, and I think you'll be completely fine. So, yeah, it'd be very similar to that. Maybe exactly the same. So, yeah, check out the best wildcard team video and just put Toney in for Zaha, and then, you know, obviously change things up respectively. So instead of Stansfield as your 4.5 million option up front, you go for a 4.5 million in the midfield. Play Saliba or Andreas? I'd play Saliba this week. I'm not that confident of an Arsenal clean sheet, but I'd still rather take the chance there than going for Andreas. But to be honest, there's merit in going with either one of them. Good luck to everyone. Switched out Robbo for Diaz and Saka to Parasitch due to constant heartbreak. Hope it pays off. Good luck, Karaki. I'll be honest, I'm not too sure about the Robertson kind of switch just yet, but I still understand where you're coming from, and they've been so disappointing so far this season. Good morning, Dylan, everyone. Good luck in Game Week 4. Good luck, Mr. Iceman. Should I captain Salah, Haaland, or Jesus? Go with any single one of them. Whoever you think is going to score the most points. I'm personally going for Salah, and that's just where my head's at. Salah or KDB captain? I think I'd go for Salah this week, just because I think Crystal Palace is a tougher game than Bournemouth. But then again, De Bruyne is the informed player, and maybe that's something I haven't done enough this season, is going for the form. I've been looking a lot at fixtures, actually, which is quite weird for me. I tend to be a bit balanced between the two. If not, I slightly favour form. I'd go for Salah, though. Morning, I did 2 free transfers for Robert and Bailey to Saliba and Rodrigo. Want to get rid of Neto, but stuck for who? I have 6.6. You could double up on Leeds midfield, but I'm not a huge fan of that going forwards. You could go for Pascal Grosch as well. Ideally, you'd want Zaha, but obviously he's injured anyway, and you would be 0.6, 0.5 million short. So I'd probably say Pascal Grosch, Mickey. Good morning, Dylan. Who should I go for, Ruben Dias or Parasitch? I think City will get more clean sheets than Spurs this season, and Dias won't score maybe too far off Perišić as a result, but the attacking returns and the kind of high-risk, high-reward factor of Perišić makes him very, very encouraging. I have to say, I'd love to say Parasitch, but even if he starts against Nottingham Forest, I'm very concerned if he's going to start in game weeks 5 and 6. That's always going to be the big headache for you. If you're able to stomach it, you've got good squad depth, I'd go for Parasitch. Is Parasitch worth it? I think he is worth it so long as you have good squad depth. That is the key thing. And sometimes he's just going to come on for a one-pointer, so you have to kind of stomach those, unfortunately. But when he does start, he can easily get a huge return, as he did against Wolves last week. Firmino or Wissa? Wissa, but I'm not really a big fan of either, to be quite frank. Not right now, but it'd be Wissa for sure. Hello, locked and loaded since Tuesday. Wow, that's good. Good luck to you. Also really considered bringing in Zaha. Thank God didn't do that. Yeah, he was facing City anyway, which he could have done well. But yeah, it's still not an ideal fixture to bring a player in. And you could always wait for next week. Let's see how bad the injury is. Bench one between Walker, Trippier, or Neto. I think I'd bench Neto this week, yeah. I have Cancelo already. Yeah, that's fair enough. I'd still go for Walker. Is Maddison fit? We actually don't know that just yet, but it's looking like a very, very quick race with time. I'm not too sure if he's actually going to be fit. If you're asking for my gut feeling, I'd say yes, he's going to play. I mean, Leicester need him. If they have any chance of even scoring a goal, I think Maddison has to be there. He's their best player by far right now. So, yeah, I think he's going to be fit, but I honestly don't know anything that you don't know. It's just a gut feeling. I think I'm going to regret subbing Alexandra to Perisic. Obviously, in terms of form, you'd say no. He's got more points than Robertson and Trent combined, but I think Arnold will outscore him this week. I just really like the fixture, and I think Trent and Robertson will finally deliver, and it's about time they do, to be fair. Hi, Dylan. I made 1 free transfer out of 2. Neto to Rodrigo. Really wanted Tony, but couldn't get to it without letting go of Haaland, Jesus, or Robbo this week. Yeah, that's understandable. I wouldn't have done the same thing either. Didn't want to do that yet. Still thinking he'll get 2+ returns. He could, but it's not worth kind of switching one of those other players who could also do the same thing. Such an uneventful week with my early move to Rodrigo. Yeah, I think a lot of people are in the same boat. If not, they move to Zaha. And then there will be a few other players like Pascal Grosch potentially. Yeah, UCL Fantasy, there's going to be content within the next week, but I already posted a video, which was around a week ago, and this was before any of the kind of draws and stuff like that. But I'm going to look at the draws more carefully. I'm going to try pick out the best options. There's a few changes, of course. Casemiro is no longer a Madrid player, but there are some good options around 5.5 million. So don't worry about that. There's going to be UCL Fantasy content very soon, but I'm also doing FPL content and all that. So yeah, you got to kind of space out and also plan. I don't want to just make a video without, giving it some good thought first. Good luck for the game week, and thanks for the advice. Good luck, Nabil, and I hope you do well. Hey, Dylan, should I do Maddison to Harrison and Archer to Welbeck for a hit? For a hit, I mean, it is worth it, especially if Maddison does miss out this week, but I don't know. For a hit, I'd say yes. Reluctantly, yes. It's very close. Saka to Rodrigo to fund Nico Williams to Zinchenko, or Neto to Rodrigo and Saka to Odegaard. I don't think Saka to Odegaard is worth it. I still prefer Bukayo long term, so it would be Nico Williams to Zinchenko. That is my preference there. I have Jensen in my team. Should I go for Tony also? I don't see any problem with that, to be fair. With Jensen, he's someone you'd want to bench more often than not. He's not someone you want to start week in, week out. At least for me. I can't speak for you as well. But Tony, I think that's completely fine. He's Brentford's best player. FPL-wise, I think I'd go for it, yeah. It just depends, because I wouldn't sell Kane, Haaland or Jesus for him. But if it's anyone else, I think it's worthwhile. Rashford or Kulusevski? Still Kulusevski for me. Yes, Rashford scored, just about onside, you could argue. But how are United and Rashford going to perform against teams that are going to have less possession than United, and United have to break them down? I still don't trust United, and they beat kind of an off-form Liverpool side. Obviously, it's an impressive victory. There was a lot riding on that game, so to go through that pressure is impressive, but I still wouldn't be that confident about Man United. That's just the way I see it. I'd rather go for other options, including Kulusevski. Arnold captain. I don't trust Liverpool that much, despite the fact they have double Liverpool defence, but just the way they've been playing in the first 3 game weeks, I'd rather captain an attacker like Salah, to be fair. I don't understand why people put money on their bench. I pump everything in my starting 11. I think it's worthwhile having one good option on your bench. That's the thing. I agree with you. When some people have a lot of squad depth and they've got like Trippier, Saliba, and let's say Rodrigo on the bench, I just don't understand that. And a lot of people, kind of maybe make that mistake, you could say. I think having a bit of squad depth is fine, especially when we have a lot of rotation. We've got Champions League, Europa League, all these different cups. But I think there's kind of a limit to it. Koulibaly replacement for me, no Arsenal. I think Kieran Trippier would be a good option for you. I don't think his attacking threat is amazing, but he's a great free kick taker. He can get the odd assist, and Newcastle looking very solid defensively. What forwards for the wildcard? If you're going for a front three, it's easily going to be Jesus, Toney, and one of Kane or Haaland. And I think Kane is just a bit more kind of safe in terms of expected minutes. Haaland is arguably going to score more points when he does get those minutes. So it's up to you what you want to do there. It's very tough. Saka to Rodrigo. It's not a bad move, but I think I'd rather have Saka this week against Fulham than Rodrigo against Brighton. Obviously, if you look at form, Rodrigo's the clear winner, but I don't know. I think that Saka could outscore him this week. I'm guessing Vladimir also says Saka to Rodrigo and Archer to Toney for a -4. I think it looks good overall. Because you're getting Toney and for Archer as well, it is worthwhile. But if you already have a decent player who's going to start in Toney's place this week, I don't think you need to take the -4 and you can wait another week, because Saka against Fulham, I don't know, I just see points, to be fair, although I could be wrong. Don't see a Liverpool 4-5-0 performance, to be honest. Low block without a good midfield and lack of pressing trigger of Mane won't be easy. No, I agree. I still expect Liverpool to win by 2 or 3, though. Bournemouth were absolutely shocking against Arsenal. They conceded, 2 goals in the opening 10 minutes? And Liverpool just need a bit of, I don't know how to describe it, just need a bit of inspiration. And look, football's a funny game. They could easily turn around their form. I wouldn't be too worried about Liverpool. Obviously, the fact that, they're trying to go for the title and they've already dropped so many points, yes, from that perspective. But in terms of finishing top 4 and stuff like that, I wouldn't be worried just yet. And I think they will easily beat Bournemouth still. Is Havertz an option to Haaland? No chance. I don't like Havertz as an option. He scored, 7-8 goals last season. He's not looking that great in this campaign. He had a good game against Spurs, but still not enough for me to really recommend him. I'd rather have Wilson, Toney, Haaland, Kane, Jesus. I think there's many options. Nunez when he's back. James or Trippier, I'm on wildcard. I still prefer James, to be fair. But it just depends on your budget. What can you do with that extra million? James or Saliba, I mean, they're kind of completely different price points. At the moment, it's Saliba who's the clear winner, but I'd still go for James if you can. Good morning, Aranya. Is Perisic nailed today? I wouldn't say he's nailed, but I think he'll start. And if he does start, I'd be worried about him starting against West Ham or in game week 6. What do you think about Kane captain? I think that's a great option. I said this in my recent videos. The fact that everyone's going to go for Salah, and you've got kind of these 2 Spurs attackers against Nottingham Forest away, I could see Spurs getting some very good chances and Kane scoring some goals. And also Heung-min Son picking up his form. The thing is, though, if you're kind of more of a form person, I think you'd rather look at the likes of Jesus, maybe KDB and stuff like that. But I think Kane's a great option. He's in my top 5 this week. He'd arguably be in my top 3 as well. Neto to Aronson. Yeah, I think it's a good move. I just would rather have another Leeds midfielder personally, but it's not a bad choice, of course. Thank you, Bram. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Maddison to Diaz or Gundogan or another one. I'd rather have Gundogan. And the 8 million midfielder I really like is Maddison, but he's an injury doubt this week, so you'd rather avoid. It'd be Gundogan for me. Hello, I think that Chelsea will concede as Leicester are doing better than expected. I disagree. I mean, I have to say, with Leicester, I disagree. Maybe not so much with Chelsea conceding, but they're doing very poorly, Leicester. They beat Stockport on penalties, and they haven't won a game so far this season. They're bottom of the league, no? Something like that, or they're right at the bottom. Lost to Southampton at home. I mean, it's apart from Maddison, they've just looked absolutely woeful. So they can score. I'm not going to argue with you on that, but I respectfully disagree about Leicester doing well. Yeah, I mean, I should have got Parasitch last week for Cucurella, but I looked at the fixtures and I just went for the Spaniard. And also the expected minutes of Perišić is a big turn-off for me. Otherwise, it would have been an easy switch to the Croatian from cash. There you go. I mean, I missed out on, 11 points, I think, from that decision. But there you go. You can't have everything. Walker to Robertson, free transfer. I mean, I do like it. It's just a bit of an odd time to get in Robertson because as much as I think he outscores Walker this week, what about the weeks to come? Do you want to have Robertson against Newcastle and once the fixtures turn very soon? You might wildcard out of it, so that's fair enough, Robert, but I'm not too sure. For this week, I think it's worth it. Long term, not too sure. Despite Walker's expected minutes also maybe going down as well with the arrival of Sergio Gomez. Welcome, Gutonga. Good to see you. Bailey to Rashford got a -4 or start after either Bailey Andreas. I just don't really see it with Rashford. You know, it's one good game. I want to see a bit more from him and United before taking a -4 for him. Yes, you're getting rid of Bailey or Neto, or you know that's fair enough. But for Rashford, I'd rather go for Grosh, even Harrison, Aronson, and Rodrigo. Honestly, I'd probably just start Bailey or Andreas. Yeah. Should I start Saint-Maximin or Harvey Elliott? I'd start probably Saint-Maximin. I'm not a big fan of him FPL-wise, though, and I've said this for a long time, and I still maintain the same belief. Did a bit of a knee-jerk with Neto and Saka to Martinelli and Rodrigo. Hope it pays off. Good luck, mate. And to be honest, Martinelli and Rodrigo is a better duo, so I understand what you've done there. I think Saka could burn you a little bit, but I wouldn't be worried about Neto, to be honest. And obviously, football's a funny game. He could score a brace, but I think you made the right decision long-term. Rodrigo captain against Brighton, not for me. Yes, he's in great form, the most informed player in the league. I just wouldn't do that. Perisic or James? James still for me. What's the news on Zaha? Any injury? Yes, he's injured. He's kind of confirmed out by some news outlets. I can't remember the exact journalist who broke the story yesterday, but it looks like Zaha's missing out completely against Man City. So, you know, City, you could say, is a bit fortunate in the last few games. You know, Wilson got injured mid-game, also Fabianski, now once again. But yeah, I wouldn't, if I had Zaha, by the way, just as Jack says there, I agree, I'd hold and bench him because he could be back next week and the fixtures also get better. Brentford's a very good game for him. Which Brighton midfielder should I go for? Either Trossard or Grosh. I wouldn't go for anyone else right now. I think those are the two best, to be fair. So it just depends on your budget. Neto versus Bailey, both poor. Both are probably easy sells. I'd rather sell Bailey now because of the fixtures, but at the same time, he's also a bit easier to bench. There's a 0.4 million difference. So it just depends on your budget and what you're looking to do. But I'd rather sell Bailey first. I still don't like either of them anyway. Start Bailey or Luka Dean. I would probably start... That's difficult. I don't really expect points from any of them. Maybe Bailey just in case he starts and gets an attack in return. But yeah, I'm not really hopeful of either. Saka to Gundogan or hold and have 2 free transfers. I'd probably hold and then have 2 free transfers and probably do that move next week. That's just the way I see it, though. What do we do with Plange? He's now leaving and Bailey has dropped in price again. Well, Plange isn't a priority. If you have such a good team and, you know, you're maybe perhaps on the verge of burning a transfer, free transfer, that's where you could just do Plange to Stansfield, for example. Otherwise, I wouldn't really worry too much. The only concern would be him going down in price, but I don't think that would happen anytime soon. You know, let's wait and see, but I wouldn't be too worried about Plange. If it was Greenwood with his ownership, yes, I think you'd be a bit more worried about losing a bit of value, but honestly, I wouldn't be that concerned. There's bigger fish to fry, let's say. And yeah, Bailey's dropped in price again. Is he now 4.8? I've honestly lost track about this guy. Well, there you go. Still, Bailey and Neto are still sells. It's possible to sell them, but you just have to maybe downgrade someone like Robertson in the future as well. Will Iverson start? That's a good question. I mean, if you look at the last game, you have to say he probably deserves it. A lot of Leicester fans are calling for him to start. Ward has been very underwhelming, but Iverson saved 3 penalties against Stockport. So I'd say, yeah, I have a feeling he will start, but let's wait and see. Maybe Rodgers is still going to continue with Ward, who also got some opportunities at the tail end of last season as well. Played De Silva, Aronson or Neto? Probably between De Silva and Aronson. I think I'd go for Aronson, but Brighton's the toughest fixture of the lot, I'd argue. If not, Newcastle for Neto. Is Maddison a hold? Is he nailed on to start, or should I bring in another midfielder in his place? Well, he's nailed on to start whenever he's fit. The problem is he might not be for this week. And I'm not sure if he's going to start or not. I mean, my gut feeling is yes. I think Leicester will try find a way to, rush him back into the game, but that's literally just a gut feeling. It's not an educated guess. If you were to get rid of him, and I would understand that, I'd probably go for Gundogan. Zaha was another one that I was talking about this week, but he's now injured for this game week as well. You've also got Rodrigo. I'd rather have him from game week 5 onwards, but he's also a good choice. I'd probably just go for Gundogan. Play 2, Bailey, Pereira, Nico Williams. Probably Pereira and Bailey. I just don't expect Forest to keep a clean sheet, but you never know. Welcome, Tez. I'm doing well. What about you, mate? Parasitch Worth on the wildcard? Of course, on a wildcard he's worth it, but just be very wary of his minutes. It's always going to be a concern, always. Thoughts on Emerson Real, looking to bring him in for Robbo? I wouldn't do it this week. I'd rather do it next week, and that's when Spurs play West Ham, which will be a feisty affair. London derby. Robertson I'd rather keep for this week, then you can do that switch next week, and even then, I think there are better options than Emerson Real. He's done very well so far this season, he's one of the highest scorers in terms of defenders, but Zinchenko for me is better, Trippier, Perišić, despite the kind of expected minute struggle. I think there's a lot of choices you could go to rather than Emerson, and I'd do that next week personally. Best 4.5 keeper, as I said last week and a few weeks ago, Robert Sanchez for me. I was a bit unsure of some of the games for Sanchez, such as West Ham, but he still kept a clean sheet, and there you go. So, yeah, Robert Sanchez. I would start Bailey instead of Neto in your team. Neto don't have the final touch. I agree, but my main concern with Bailey is the starts. But you make a good point, to be fair. I think Neto is a good player, he's a good dribbler, but Wolves just lack that kind of end product. I don't trust any of them anyway. Even if Bailey starts, Aston Villa looking woeful. But you make a very good point. Who should I start, Henry or De Silva? I'd rather start Rico Henry. Thoughts on Tony? I think he's the best forward to have other than, let's say, Jesus and one of Haaland or Kane. Jack Harrison or Saint-Maximin? Harrison. No doubt about it for me. I'd go for Harrison. Welcome, Nez Keys. In my opinion, I really think that Free Strikers is the best team compilation. Yeah. Having a 4.5 million attack on the bench is just a waste when you can get an actual playing option in defence, even Andreas in midfield. I get what you mean, yes, that is a good point, but at the same time, if you do have maybe a 4.5 million defender or midfielder, and the rest of your team is also stacked with these kind of options, you will maybe have a bit too much squad depth, as you can say. And you're always going to have points bench pretty much. But I see what you mean. The forwards aren't really going to offer you much. Stansfield is kind of the best at the moment. He's got like 7 points. So that's a fair point. But I would also argue that 4 midfielders as well, or 5 midfielders, and then going for 2 attackers. I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It just depends on your preference. What I really like about 3 forwards is that you can go for Tony, Jesus, and one of those premium strikers, which I really like. It's a fantastic structure as well. Is triple captain Salah a good idea? I don't think it's a bad idea. The problem is Salah and Liverpool don't have the best form, so it will be risky. Thank you, Singh. Yeah, we have over 200 people watching. I really much appreciate it. Let's try to get this video to over 100 likes for now, and then we'll push on to new targets. But I really appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we've already made, in the last few days, last week or so, we've actually gained a few hundred subscribers. So thank you very much, and let's try to keep on going. So let me just get this up on screen for a second. I think no issues here, which is good to see. Yeah, so 47 likes. Let's try to get to 100. We've got 214 people watching, so thank you very much. And let's keep on going. Let me just close these tabs here. Hopefully that doesn't do anything. All right, so I'm going to move on to a few other screens very soon and show you some different stats and things to consider ahead of the deadline. We've still got 1 hour and a half pretty much, so no rush, you could say. Any idea why the Fulham kit was changed? Fulham kit. Oh, yeah, it's because I've got the away kit's Chrome extension. So whenever a player or a team has an away fixture, it will put their away kit. That's pretty much it. Captain Jesus, I think he's a great choice this week, but I'd still rather go for Salah. Still. Yeah, these bots are getting crazy, aren't they? Golden Boys, yeah. Saka or Harrison? This week, Saka. Long term, I'd say Harrison because of the extra millions you save. Play Aronson or De Silva? I'd play Aronson, but the fixture is more difficult. Captain Kane or Salah? Salah for me, but Kane's a great option too. Saka, Neto to Rodrigo and Gundogan -4 or save transfer? I would save the transfer. I would maybe just do it for free next week, Vignesh. I know Neto's not really a great choice, but yeah. Is this your final team? Maybe not final team, because you never know. A bit of news can come out that maybe switches my mind. You know, I might go for a free transfer or something, take a hit, such as Robertson missing out. I don't know, something like that. The only thing that I could do if I rolled the transfer, which is very likely this week, is maybe put Bailey in for Neto. Apart from that, the rest is kind of locked in, to be fair. Captain Kane or KDB? I'd actually rather Captain Kane this week, but if you look at form, I'd say KDB's the better option. Jesus, Tony plus Kane, Haaland is the best. Yeah, as a forward line, I agree, Neskis. Yeah. The thing is, though, yeah, I'd actually, when you put it like that, obviously, yeah, you'd rather have that front three than maybe Zaha, Rodrigo, Salah, and Martinelli, even though that also looks pretty good. But in the long term, I'd rather have that front three and maybe sacrifice a midfielder. That is a good point. But I still think there are arguments for going for a 4.5 million forward as well and having two strikers. Start Trippier, Andreas, definitely Trippier for me, definitely. Diaz to Foden. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of either of them. I wouldn't sell Diaz ahead of a Bournemouth game at home. So I'd keep him there and then maybe move to Maddison in the weeks to come, or Gundogan, Zaha, Rodrigo, etc. I'd argue that Jesus, Tony, Mitrovic plus Salah, KDB is even better. Yeah, that is true. And the reason why is because obviously Spurs and City have the Champions League in about a week or so. And Haaland especially, his minutes are going to be a very big concern. So I've also been considering that, you know, on the wild card, even I think it was this week, or it was last week in the Gameweek 3 best wildcard team, you know, going for Ivan, Tony and Jesus, and then you go for maybe De Bruyne, Salah, Martinelli, and you can also have Rodrigo in your midfield potentially. That looks pretty good. Yesing, unfortunately, keeping Neto. If I had two free transfers, I would be very, you know, tempted to make a downgrade in order to upgrade Neto. But I'll probably wait another week, and then maybe Robertson will be the one to make way in Gameweek 5, and that's how I can upgrade Neto or Bailey. Also on Xhaka, I covered him in the transfer tips video. He's looking like a much better option this season, but you know, when you look at Arsenal, I'm going to keep on saying this, because that's how you have to think sometimes. You know, you've got Ramsdale in goal. He's a better option than Xhaka. You've got Saliba, Zinchenko, even a few others like White right now. You've got Gabriel as well. In the midfield, you've got Saka, who's still a better option for me. Odegaard's a better option. Martinelli, probably the very, very best in the midfield for Arsenal. Then you've got Jesus up front. And when you put it that way, you probably don't want to have Xhaka occupying a precious Arsenal slot at the moment. Who would have thought I'd say that with the fixtures coming up. But yeah. You know, he's not a bad option. He's, you know, playing this more box-to-box role, getting some really good runs into the box, but I just wouldn't get him in, to be honest. Not right now. Start Trippier, Andreas. Yeah, Trippier, easy. I think that's a very easy one. Is Kulusevski a good option? He is. I think Maddison is better, so long as he's fit. Messi or Ronaldo? Messi, no doubt about that. Morning, Dylan. Kulusevski already have, or -4 for Gundogan. Morning to you as well, Aaron. Nah, I would keep Kulusevski. I wouldn't take a -4 for Gundogan. You could just do that for free next week. Buy Diaz, Kulusevski, or Rodrigo for Bailey. Long term, my preference would be Rodrigo. For this week specifically, I think Diaz and Kulusevski are more likely to score based on the fixture. I think Tony will be better than Haaland because he has shown better performances than Haaland. The thing is, though, it's only 3 games into the season. Tony is, I mean, I would, yeah, more integral, you could say. He's the obviously talisman figure. With City, it's probably De Bruyne. I think Haaland's been really good, though, and with him, you're just going to get goals. Tony's all-round game is impressive. He can get assists as well. He's probably going to get much more than Haaland as well. But I think it's difficult, you know, they're completely different price points. Haaland will still probably outscore him, but with that extra 4 million kind of in count, that's where you could also upgrade another position. So long term, because of expected minutes, I would agree with you, but Haaland has also been very impressive, considering it's his first 3 games in the Premier League. Maddison to Gundogan to bench Dunk. I have 1 free transfer. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I wouldn't be, you know, that fussed about starting Dunk, but that looks good. Start 2 of Dunk, Rodrigo, Neto. I'd start Rodrigo, and I know it sounds a bit weird, but probably Dunk. I know you're eventually going to probably lose out on some points there, but I just don't trust Neto, to be fair. Transfer Haaland to Kane. I wouldn't do it this week. That's something you can do in the weeks to come when expected minutes become a real issue. Thank you for the super chat, Mikey Slices. You didn't have to, mate. Good morning, Dylan from Florida. Cheers for the content, brother. Cheers for the content. Come on your irons. Thank you very much. Good luck to you this weekend. And wow, enjoy sunny Florida. I'm not sure if it's sunny now, but enjoy it. And thank you very much for your kind words, mate. Very much appreciated. And it's always good to see you on here. I'm so tempted to captain Jesus. Go for it. If you think he's going to score more points than Salah, you know, don't just go for the crowd, you know, for the sake of it. I'm going for Salah because I genuinely think he's the best option from the players at my disposal, but I think Jesus is a good option. He's probably top 5. How much do you have in the bank, Dylan? That's a good question, and one that I should know off the top of my head. I think I've got like 0.4. Yeah, I've got 0.4, I think. No. Oh, wow. Damn, I'm in the mud, aren't I? I've got 0 million in the bank. Wait, no? Oh, no, that's an... Okay, that was a bot move. Okay, yeah, I've got 0.4 million in the bank. I was just looking at another team, a family team that I also have to manage. I forgot to make the transfers. Oh, my God. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate it. So let's make the transfers for them. Ah, God almighty. So yeah, 0.4 million. I'm kind of limited. I could get Aronson, for example, for Neto. And if I did early transfers, I could have got in someone like Grosh. But I'm willing to wait and get someone like Rodrigo or Harrison, who I would rather have probably long term. But let's wait and see. You know, the night is still young, as they say. Wow, this is a tough one. I'm not even sure what to do with this team. My lord. That is a tough one. I'd have to think about that. All right, so thoughts on Isaac? I think it could be a good signing for Newcastle, but the fee does really put me off. I think that's far too much money. Obviously, let's wait and see how he does. And I think Eddie Howe will get the best out of him. Yeah, in terms of an FPL option, I think I'd still rather wait. He was very inconsistent in terms of attack and returns in the last few seasons. I think 2 seasons ago, he got like 4 goals in La Liga, so I wouldn't be in a rush. -8 or wildcard, it depends which players you're bringing in and out for the -8 and how many more changes you make for the wildcard, but I'd say -8 on face value. Morning, Dylan. Up front playing with Jesus and Tony. That looks good. I have Salah and KDB. Will I regret not having Haaland or Kane up top? Honestly, with the expected minutes of Haaland, I'd say no. And look at KDB. He's keeping up with Haaland and outscoring him. So I think you're fine. So long as you have one of KDB, Kane or Haaland, I think you're in good shape, to be fair. Grosh for Neto -4 or just keep Neto? I'd keep Neto this week. I don't think it's worth a -4. Robertson, keep or sell? Still a keep, as I said in the last few weeks. But in the weeks to come, that changes because if he's kind of your easiest way of upgrading another position, that's where things become a bit more difficult in terms of keeping him, and that's where you can sell. But right now, it's a keep. Yeah, these bots are absolutely crazy, aren't they? Captain KDB or Jesus? I think I'd rather captain Jesus this week, and I'm mainly looking at the fixture. They're both in form. Today, Ronaldo can play full game and can show better performance. What is your opinion? He can, but there's so much kind of, murmurs around him. I don't believe the Sporting Lisbon rumours and stuff like that. But I'm not sure, because Ten Hag might just look at it and think, you know what, we're going to play the same team. We beat Liverpool. Why change a winning formula? I'm not too sure if Ronaldo starts, and honestly, he's a non-option in FPL right now. Who to start, Cucurella or Grosh? I'd rather start Cucurella this week, funnily enough. Jesse, both are good options, but I go for Kane as Salah as captain. I'll most likely roll because I think the extra free transfer could be very important this week. Agreed, especially with some midweek games and also more information. That's what I really like, and I'm a bit unconvinced of some of these options that I really want at the moment, because in the weeks to come I could see myself not really wanting them as much. So yeah, I think waiting another week is the way to go. Start Trippier, Andreas. Trippier, I think it's quite an easy one, to be honest. I just go for Trippier. I think they can keep a clean sheet away to Wolves. Who should I bench between Zinchenko, Parasitch, Rodrigo, Grosh or Tony? It's a tough one. I'd probably bench one of Rodrigo or Grosh, and it's probably Grosh. Very close though. Kane or Haaland? Because of the expected minutes, I'd actually rather have Kane from this point onwards. If it wasn't for that, then it's Haaland for me. Mount, keep or sell? If you have 2 free transfers, I would probably look to sell, because you can maybe upgrade another position that you really wanted to, like Neto or Bailey. But if you're not really in that sort of situation, you have a really good team overall, maybe it's worth keeping him, to be honest. And I wouldn't take a hit, for getting rid of him. I think he can do well this week and in the weeks to come. Swap Robert for Perišić, not for me. I just don't think it's worth it. Robertson at home to Bournemouth versus Perišić away to Nottingham Forest. Yeah, it's still Robertson for me, despite the bad form. YouTube needs to delete messages so the name and everything will be hidden too. The thing is, though, sometimes the users themselves, are hidden and pretty much they're blocked from the channel, but they make new accounts with the exact same name and stuff like that, or they already have it, kind of ready. Yes, it is what it is, but I agree, YouTube should do something about it. Grosh for Neto -4. Yeah, like I said already, Mickey, I just keep Neto, save the -4. Force on Welbeck, around his price, he's probably the best. when I say his price, that price and below, because Mitrovic at a little bit more is my preference. But yeah, I think he's decent, no doubt about it. In terms of midfielders, though, from Brighton, I think Grosh and Trossard would be a bit more appealing to me long-term than Welbeck. Kane or Haaland, like I said already, Kane because of expected minutes. It's very close, though. Trent captain, no, I wouldn't go that far because I don't trust Liverpool that much defensively right now. Robbo Perisic, Robertson this week. Hi, mate, should I sell Haaland to Kane now for a hit due to rotation risk? Not for a -4. I still think Haaland plays this week. I'd be concerned about the weeks to come, though. That's where you can do it for free. 2 free transfers, 1.5 in the bank. Should I start Almiron or upgrade him to a Brighton Leeds midfielder? You could start Almiron, to be fair, but I don't like him as an FPL option, and I think Rodrigo is a good long-term replacement for him. Should I transfer out Jensen for Trippier or James, as I already have Raya in goal? Yeah, I mean, I would probably get Trippier or James in, but it just depends, because if you're making transfers, you have to make 2 transfers there. Do you take a -4? Which defenders are you kind of bringing in, out, etc.? Unless you're talking about Janssen, I'm guessing that's what you're doing, actually, instead of Jensen. And in that case, yeah, I think it's worth it. Worth keeping Cancelo long-term. His stats aren't encouraging. I still think it's worth it because even in Game Week 2, wasn't it, against Bournemouth, he got 11 points. That's what you can do. I still like him. Plan Robertson, probably to sell him next week or in the weeks to come, but keep him for Bournemouth at home. KDB or Son, it's KDB for sure right now. This week, though, I think Son might outscore him, but still, in the next 5-10 game weeks, I think I'd rather have him. No problem, Mickey. It's all right. I just wanted you to hear the answer, that's all. I think Rodrigo will be better than Neto. Oh, definitely. Even this game week, potentially, but I can't get to him without taking a -4, and I'm not too sure if Rodrigo outscores Neto by -4 points or by 4 points, so that's why I'm not doing the move myself. Would you take out Ramsdale and Neto for Sanchez and Harrison for a -4? For a -4, no, because you really need Sanchez to get a clean sheet to kind of make that worthwhile potentially, unless Harrison goes absolutely ballistic. So not for me. I wouldn't take a -4 involving a goalkeeper if you can. Greenwood to Stansfield just to burn the transfer. That looks good, yeah. I think that looks fine. Then again, I think they're the 2 best 4.5 million choices right now. Trossard or Grosh? That's a really good question. I think if you have the money, I'd go for Trossard. I think with Estupinian coming into the team, he will then play as the left wing back, once he's kind of embedded into that system and is acclimatized to the Premier League and also Brighton's team. And Trossard will also have more license to go forward in another position. But yeah, I'd go for Trossard if you can. Veltman or Dunk? Dunk for me. Diaz and Archer for Harrison and Tony, 2 free transfers for. So that looks good. The only thing that kind of doesn't rub me the wrong way, or that rubs me the wrong way, should I say, is getting rid of Diaz at home to Bournemouth, but it's still a good set of transfers, to be fair. Trying to spam the chat, though, because, yeah, people are going to ban you. Kane to blank this game week, fingers crossed. Oh, inject into my veins, mate. Honestly, I'd love it. I'd love it, but I think he's going to score. Force on Dewsbury Hall and James to Rodrigo and a 5 million defender for a -4. It doesn't look too bad on paper, to be fair, but I still wouldn't. I think James can do well against Leicester this week, and Rodrigo, I'm not expecting a huge return against Brighton, although that could be famous last words. Force on Kulusevski, the same as before. I think he's one of the best options around his price, but I think Maddison's my preference, so long as he's fit, which is a big if. Can Alvarez cover Haaland during the midweek fixtures? FPL-wise, I wouldn't go for Alvarez. But I think Alvarez could make City play better in general. City look very impressive when Alvarez is on the pitch. And I know he's just a really neat player. Good dribbler. Good goal scorer as well. But in terms of FPL, I'm still not too sure about him. Trippier or James better, Dylan? I still think James, but Trippier's a good choice for sure. What to do with Diaz this week? I'd keep Diaz this week, and maybe in the weeks to come, that's when you could sell. I'm not a huge fan of him anyway, because I think he has a lot of talent. He just doesn't really maybe get the best out of himself in terms of goals and assists. I'm not saying he doesn't get them, because he does. He got like 31 last season, but I think he can get more, especially in the Premier League, where he only got 4 goals, 3 assists since January until the end of last season. Start Bailey or Andreas? I mean, I'd probably go for Bailey out of those 2. De Bruyne is a legend game maker of City, of course. Best goalkeeper for 5 million, Pope or Ramsdale, and I'd go for Pope right now, yeah. Should I get Saint-Maximin? Not for me. Honestly, I don't trust him long term. Not being a Salah owner scares me this week. I can see why. He isn't in the greatest form, though, but I think he's always returned against Bournemouth, so it's just maybe a matter of how many returns. Maybe I've just jinxed him for you, so You're welcome. Start Harrison or Tony? Tony, yeah. Keep Saka or switch to Martinelli if I'm not making any other transfers. If you've only got one free transfer, I would just roll and then do that next week, and you can upgrade another position. Rodrigo or Grosh to start? Rodrigo, but it's very close. Do you think Moyes will start Scamacca and Cornet? They both perform well in both legs of Europa Conference League qualifiers. I think you'll be in a better position to know than me as a West Ham fan. I think I was asked this question last week, and I think it's going to be the same thing, because I think Moyes will be a bit loyal to the likes of Antonio and all these options. You know what? I think Scamacca will get... I think he'll start maybe this week or next week, but that's literally an absolute guess. You know, like, you know what? It does make sense in my head. Moyes probably should do that. Let's wait and see. But I think Scamacca will get a start within the next 2 game weeks. I mean, he probably deserves it, to be fair. Can Tottenham get a clean sheet? Of course they can. Yeah, I could see Spurs winning by 2. They might concede, but yeah, I think they can get a clean sheet. It's quite likely, actually. Also, triple captain Salah. A -4 to get Tony in for Wilson. A -4. Obviously, Wilson's injured right now. I mean, Tony's a great long-term transfer. I think that will pay off. So if you don't have cover, even if it's Andreas Pereira, then I would go for it. Triple captain Salah, it's a good choice, but I think there might be better opportunities later on in the season. Ings or Watkins? It would be Watkins right now. I'm not a huge fan of either, to be fair. First bench, Trippier or Rodrigo. I'd rather start Trippier and bench Rodrigo this week, but if you look at form, that could be a fatality. Best 2 midfielders, 5 million and below. You're going to be very limited there, to be honest, mate. There's not many options around 5 million and below. Let me go through the list again. But Andreas Pereira would be one, just because he's cheap and you can bench him. And from time to time, you know, like against Brentford, you can start him, as I did. 5 million and below. I mean, in isolation, Jack is looking like a good option, but I wouldn't occupy an Arsenal slot with him. I probably say, looking at this list... Yeah, it'd be Andres Pereira, and the other one would still be Josh Da Silva for me. Yeah. If Bailey can start him, week out, you know, I wouldn't have any issues even keeping him, but the big problem with him is that you just don't know what you're going to get in terms of minutes. It's completely all over the place. Cancelo and Andreas bench, 0 in the bank, or Harrison Dunk bench, 1.1 in the bank. Cancelo on the bench? No, wait. Maybe I'm not reading that right. Cancelo, Andreas bench... I'm guessing Cancelo starting, Andreas bench, okay, and Harrison Dunk bench. Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, I'd rather have Cancelo Andreas, I guess. Yeah, I think that looks better to me. Both are fine, though. Is Broja ever going to get ahead of Havertz in Chelsea? I mean, probably should. That's a good question. I think if Chelsea continue to struggle, Havertz is still not really producing up front. I think that is a real possibility, but I just don't know when. I mean, that's a great question. And honestly, Chelsea are still a bit of a shambles up front, in my opinion. Would you rather Lloris or Pope as your goalkeeper this week? For this week, it'd still be Pope, I think. Yeah. Who'd you go for in goal this week, Sanchez or Raya? I think Raya, just for the fixture. Not planning for Neto to Pascal this game week? I mean, like I said, I could do that, couldn't I? Let's now go to this. Yeah, I could do it, but... I think I'd rather have Rodrigo or have another week's worth of data and then kind of make a more informed decision. I mean, this week I could benefit from, you know, getting in Grosh, you know, no doubt about it, but I'm just not too sure. I might put a poll out, see what you guys think, but I think I'm going to be leaning towards just rolling the transfer. Maybe starting Bailey instead of Neto instead and seeing how things go from there. But yeah, I just like the idea of having 2 free transfers heading into Game Week 5. Let me show you a few different screens now, which we've been kind of talking about for time. So for those of you looking for maybe a Kane or Son captaincy, look at this stat here. So in terms of expected goals conceded, Nottingham Forest are the worst with 6.3. This is a bit surprising, by the way, because, yeah, you've got the likes of Newcastle as well with 6.1, despite them keeping, you know, 2 clean sheets. I think the City game kind of skewed this as well. Haaland should have scored more goals too. West Ham in the bottom 3. Aston Villa, I started with cash this season. Jesus, that is a huge mistake, and I don't know what I was thinking. Leicester, also in the bottom 5. Brentford as well. So really, I mean, look at the top defences. Arsenal, Spurs, Brighton, Man City, Leeds. I mean, with the fixtures in mind, maybe it's not too surprising, but Southampton's, in my opinion, the biggest shock because they're a team I look at and think they could go down this season. I don't see too much quality, and the only options I really consider are Ward-Prowse, Aribo, and Mara. But yeah, I mean, this is quite an interesting list. I think this could be a nice kind of tick, a check there for going for Kane or Son captain. I would be a bit put off going for Son captain because you haven't really seen anything from him this season so far. But yeah, I think Kane's a great choice this week. Arguably better than Haaland, who is facing Crystal Palace, who are amongst one of the best defences in the league so far this season. So let me know what you think of this. And we're going to be moving on to a few other kind of stats that I think are really worth highlighting this week. Mount to Gundogan -4? No, not for me. I prefer Gundogan, but not for a -4. Will Fofana be 4.4 at Chelsea too? Well, he's 4.5, isn't he? Unless he did go down. He will. They're not going to change his price suddenly. The thing that could happen is people transferring him in and he's going to go up in price like that. But yeah, they can't manually change it to 5 million or something. So he could offer good value. But Chelsea aren't looking that great defensively either. Thank you, Alex. Hey, Dylan, Kane or Haaland? Sorry, Kane because of expected minutes. Otherwise, it'd be Haaland for me. Start one of the Silva, Andreas or Nico. It'd be the Silva, I think, this week. Cancelo or Trent, Game Week 4 captain. It'd be Trent, but I'd still be very unsure of either. Okay, thank you, Mustafa. Yeah, I mean, look, at 4.4 million, you can't really argue with that, but he's not going to start this week, I think. It's going to be next week where he'll probably make his first start for Chelsea. I don't think he's even confirmed yet. Best defender for 6 million and under. Apologies for already answered. I didn't answer this question. Best defender. I mean, I would say Perisic, but my main concern with him is, as always, expected minutes. I'd probably say Zinchenko, Saliba, or Trippier are probably my favourites right now. Yeah. Another one I like is Botman, as Yazid says there. But it'd be those three. Mount and Botman for -4 to Rodrigo and Zinchenko 0 in the bank. I mean, that does look good, but for a -4, no. I wouldn't do it for a -4. Captain Kane or Jesus, I think I'd go for Kane this week. Yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough. Jesus has the better form, but I think I'd go for Kane. Haaland and Bailey out for Tony and Gundogan, or Tony and Zaha have 2 free transfers. Well, Zaha's not playing this week. He's injured, according to reports. So I'd rather go for Gundogan and Tony. Yeah, that's what I'd rather do. Hey Dylan, how are you? Thoughts on Dewsbury Hall and James to Rodrigo and a 5 million defender from -4? I'm doing well. What about you, mate? Yeah, I think I answered this question already. I wouldn't do it from -4 because you're getting rid of Reece James, and I'm not a huge fan of Rodrigo this week specifically. I like him longer term if he can continue these starts. Start Neto this week. I'm doing it at the moment, but I'm not too sure about it, to be fair. I didn't leave on the wrong screen. I just left it so people can see, to be fair. I'm going to now put some different graphics on screen there. Captain Salah or Jesus, I'm going for Salah. I still prefer him this week. Should I get Rashford? Not for me, honestly. I think it's just one game. It's far too early to really say something like that. I don't really trust United and how they're going to break teams down. And the teams they're supposed to beat, like Southampton, are they actually going to get the results? Is Rashford going to do the business? He has had a lot of big chances in the first few game weeks, but he's such a confidence player. It's very hard to tell with him when to jump on and off. So this is another kind of screen for you. The predicted points. Salah is top with 9.3. Second is Harry Kane, as you can see. You've also got Trent and Son sharing the limelight there in joint second. Luis Diaz is there in third. Fernandes, Saka, Jesus, Robertson, Sterling. So as you can see, some of these kind of highly sold assets like Robertson and Saka are in there. I think they're worth keeping for another week if you can. And then you have Sterling, James, Martinelli, Welbeck, Sancho, De Bruyne, Van Dijk, Firmino. I don't agree with that one, of course. Cancelo, Tony, Ronaldo. But yeah, there you go. That gives you an idea that the algorithm kind of really favours Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea as well to a certain extent, and Spurs, but mainly the attackers. Not too sure if they back them for a clean sheet, which is understandable. And also always worth noting the fixture difficulty, the fixture ticker. Brentford are top for the next 5 game weeks, despite the fact that they have a few maybe tough games like Arsenal and Crystal Palace. Liverpool are there in the top 2 still, and that's why I think it's worth keeping these assets if you can, like Trent, Salah and Robertson. Although I'm looking to sell Robertson around game week 5. Despite the fact that you can still see a clean sheet for Liverpool potentially, maybe not on current form, but Everton as well away. That's not a bad fixture. Wolves at home. Chelsea away is going to be tough, of course, and Brighton at home. You know, that could be a very tricky test for Liverpool. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost that game with their current form. Arsenal still up there. Man City, Leeds. And even you've got Southampton. In terms of bottom of the pile, you've got Palace. So maybe that was kind of a big reason against going for Zaha. But a real big reason why Palace are bottom of the fixture ticker for the next 5 is because of City, really. So Zaha's missing that anyway. And he is still a good purchase, I think, from Game Week 5 onwards. Spurs are near the bottom in terms of the fixture difficulty, which is interesting, but a lot of people are still going to be flocking to Kane and Perišić, I think. So, yeah, always worth noting these kind of different stats. Now let's move on to some more stats, because we love doing that, don't we? And here we go. The most transferred in player this week is Rodrigo. No surprises there. Parasitch is second, Trippier third, Tony fourth, and we've got a few Arsenal players there. Saliba, Martinelli, Zinchenko, Odegaard, Jesus. I mean, that is crazy. And Jesus' ownership is now 82%. It's absolutely wild, to be fair. But yeah, those are the most transferred in players this week. Always worth noting. And here we go. Salah versus Jesus. Arguably two of the best captaincy options this week. If you look at the stats, Jesus is looking like the better option on paper. But also remember that it takes less for Salah to outscore Jesus because he's a midfielder. So that's always going to be a plus point for Salah. And I still think the fixture's better against Bournemouth, despite the fact that Fulham are worse in terms of expected goals conceded and also in terms of big chances conceded compared to Bournemouth, which is surprising. But there you go. Yeah, I know. But Zaha not playing. Yeah, Zaha's not playing. He's injured, according to the reports. Yeah. Start Tony and Jensen. Tony for sure. Jensen, it just depends who you're going to bench, really. Perisic or Zinchenko? I prefer Zinchenko in isolation just because of minutes. Do you think Trippier is a better option than Perisic for this week? For this week, it's very close. I'm not too sure about that. I'd probably say I'd rather go for Trippier in terms of clean sheet possibilities, but very close. Haaland or Jesus? Jesus this week, and to be honest, long term, you know, he's just a bit more nailed. Conte said Kane will have rest, so that's a worry for Kane and Haaland owners. Yeah, that's why the argument might be just to go to Tony and invest the money in the midfield. I mean, Conte was kind of talking about rotation in all areas, including Parasitch, which isn't a surprise there. I made a tricky one here, Grosh or Harrison. I'd probably favour Harrison a little bit more, but it's very close. I mean, it also depends what your prediction for the game is. I might fancy Brighton for the win, if not a draw, 1-1 draw. The problem is, I think if Leeds score, it will be down to Harrison and or Rodrigo. Will Cancelo play? Yeah, I wouldn't have any concerns about that. What do you think about a Jesus, Tony, Welbeck, or Mitrovic later front three after wildcarding? It makes sense, especially with all the doubts about Kane and Haaland. But what you could also do is just have a 4.5 million forward instead of Welbeck, and you can also go for, you know, just a better midfield in general. But that looks good. I can't lie, that looks like a really good idea going forwards. Should I replace Chilwell? And if yes, then which player? Well, I would replace him because he's not even starting games right now. He might against Leicester, his former side, but I think you've got plenty of options. I'm not sure which players you have or don't have, but Reece James is a good substitution. You've got Zinchenko, Trippier, Perisic. I think they all make for good replacements. Meant to ask Captain Haaland or Jesus. I'd probably rather Captain Jesus this week. I think I would rather sell Chilwell Zerens. Aronson to start this week. Yeah, well, that looks good to me. That looks good, and I think he will start. Should I captain KDB or Haaland? I'd rather captain KDB right now on current form. Good morning, bro. Don't forget to make a... yeah, okay, FPL Diamond. I transfer Zinchenko instead of Perisic. Dylan, is it a good move? Yeah, I think that's fine. In terms of minutes, I'd rather have Zinchenko, and I think he's a bit safer. I think Arsenal might keep the similar amount of clean sheets, if not more. Perisic will get more attack and returns, though. Kane to be rested, not this week, but I think, honestly, it's very tough with all these Champions League teams. You know, what are they going to do in the weeks to come? Bench Zaha, Cucurella or Eze from my bench. I'd rather start Cucurella. Start the Silva, Andreas, Dewsbury Hall, or Williams. I'd rather start probably the Silva. Not a big fan of them, though. Thank you, FPL Diamond, for the shout out. I appreciate it. Let's see. So in terms of the stream, we are on 105 likes, so thank you very much. Let's try to keep on going. We've got almost 200 people watching. Let's try to get to 150, and that would be much appreciated. Hopefully there's no issues with the stream, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, if there's any lag or anything, let me know. The connection does pop up as excellent, but there's always kind of, these different questions and stuff with bitrate and stuff like that that has to be taken into account. Will Maddison play? I think so, but honestly, it's just a gut feeling. Any midfielder player from Southampton other than James Ward-Prowse to be put on the watch list? Aribo, for sure. Sekumara up front and Aribo in the midfield. He's out of position, technically, Aribo, and he's got a good reputation. I think he's already scored a goal. I think it was in Gameweek 1 or 2. I think Aribo would be my pick, for sure. Thank you, Lager. Yeah, like I said, it's just kind of some weird nuances with that. Thank you, Ali, as well. Thank you. Is switching Haaland to Kane in the next game week the plan? Honestly, it's kind of a catch-22 because Kane's another one that is less likely to be rested than Haaland, but it's still possible. And my idea is potentially to even consider the possibility of going to Tony and going for a midfielder instead. I support Arsenal, Alex. I support Arsenal. Yeah. Walker to Parasitch. I like the move, and I'm a bit concerned about Walker's minutes anyway, just like with Parasitch, but this week, I think I just keep Walker. Yeah, I think I just keep him. Bit of a boring answer. You think Bernardo will start for Man City after last week? I think Bernardo will still start. Yeah, he didn't play well against Newcastle. He didn't play that well. Yeah, it's tough. I think he'll start. I mean, he's so important to City in general. Cash out for Perisic or Brighton defender? I'd still go for Perisic, I think, but Dunk would be a great choice as well. I don't think Neto's good this week, to be honest. I'm just playing him because I don't really have another choice. Raya, Ward, James, Cancelo, Zinchenko, Parasitch, Walker, Salah, Rodrigo, Grosh, Silva, Jesus, Haaland, Tony. That looks good. I wouldn't bench boost, to be honest. I don't think it's worth it. And, Raya's a good choice. I still would rather have Sanchez. And in terms of your defense, I still like Trent and Robertson, having at least one of them. Obviously, you can't cover everything. And right now, you're doing fine without them. But yeah, there's a few things that I think will change long term. So, the midfield might not look that great in a few weeks or months, and the defense, it might shake up a little bit, but it's a great team right now for sure, no doubt about it. Yeah, Pepper's hinted at resting Haaland against Forest, so I do switch to Haaland or just switch to Tony or Isaac. I wouldn't go for Isaac just yet, and I don't really see him being as good of an option as Tony, so I think Tony's your kind of go-to, really, yeah. I'm a Fulham fan. Good luck today. Oh, good luck, mate. Yeah, it should be a great game. Honestly, I think Fulham will cause problems. I think, it could be a high-scoring one for both teams. So, yeah, it should be a great game, yeah. Will you rate teams on Twitter? On Twitter, well, if you send your team, like, for a direct message and stuff like that, or even, with a public message, I will try to respond to as many as possible. But yeah, in terms of kind of rating your team's videos and stuff like that, you can also send them on Twitter and then they will feature in the video, but I'm not sure exactly when the next rating your team's video will be, but I'll let you know. What about the Silva? He's just a 4.6 million option, really. And like I said, even after you scored 2 and 2, the returns are unsustainable. They're kind of long distance efforts. De Gea fumbled one of them, so I'd be a bit careful about that. Any news on Emerson? Palmieri, it looks like he's already going to go to West Ham. I'm not sure if he's going to start this week or next week. I'm not exactly sure if he's even officially announced, but I did see that the deal was kind of completed anyway. So Maximin and Rashford. Honestly, I don't like any of them right now. I really like Rashford, the idea of Rashford in pre-season, but still very cautious. I'd probably say reluctantly I'd go for Rashford, but not a big fan of either, to be honest. Iverson and Ward, bank 1.1 million, or Sanchez and Ward? I'd rather have Sanchez. I don't trust Leicester defensively, so it has to be Sanchez for me. I bought in Casemiro. Yeah, I agree with FPL Diamond. I don't know why you'd bring in Casemiro. The only time I'd bring in Casemiro is a UCL fantasy type of game where you have points for ball recoveries, not FPL. I just don't really see him getting many attacking returns. There you go. Do you think De Jong to Liverpool and Albert to Chelsea is going to happen, Dylan? Albert to Chelsea, it looks very likely. It's looking very close. De Jong to Liverpool, I'm not sure, but Klopp and even some kind of reputable journalists have been saying that they're looking for a midfielder and they need it. Liverpool without a midfielder this season could really struggle. Is Saliba the best defender to have for Arsenal? Yes, him or Zinchenko still for me would be my two favourites. I think because of the price, it'd be Saliba. Don't expect too many attacking returns. He's only got 2 goals in his career. James to Perisic from -4. For me, no chance, honestly. I don't think it's worth it. Cash or Andreas for Gameweek 4? Probably Cash, but honestly, I'm not a big fan of either. You know what? It's tough. I'm actually going for Andreas. I'm changing my mind there. I'm going for Andreas. Which Brentford midfielder in for Bailey? It'd be Jensen if there was one, but I'm not a huge fan of him. Like, I wouldn't want to start him every single week, but it'd be Jensen. Use Wildcard this week. Just want a quick response from you. I sent the team on Twitter. Okay, I'll try to get to it, but like, you know, we're already going for a lot of questions here on the chat, so I'll try to go through it. But yeah. Yeah, let me see if have I got your... I think this is your team. Yeah, I'm not sure if I got your message, to be honest. What's your Twitter name? Let me know. But yeah, I'll try to go through that. Liverpool can't afford Frankie de Jong wages. They cost 69 million. The thing is that Liverpool should be able to. I think their owners are a bit stingy. I'd be very annoyed at Liverpool's owners if I was a Liverpool fan, you know, because they have the chance to really push on, build a dynasty of 5-10 years or more, and I don't know, I just think they're maybe letting the opportunity go by. Not to say that Liverpool can't compete with City and win trophies. They've done it already, but yeah. Will Chilwell start this week? Not too sure, to be honest. They might be forced into that and play Cucurella as a left centre-back, but honestly, I'm not too sure. Mount or Sancho? Mount still for me. I'm not a big fan of Sancho. Not right now anyway in FPL. De Silva or Neto? This week, probably Neto. I'm not really a big fan of either. Liverpool should get Bellingham. They should, but then Dortmund are going to ask for like 100 million, so it's very hard to get. If I switch to Tony, then I'll get Milner out for Rodrigo and take out Veltman. We'll have 7 million in the bank. Which defender should I get? I'm not sure which defenders you have or don't have, but I still like Trent. I still like James. I still like Perisic, Zinchenko, Trippier. I think any one of those are fine. So just depending on which ones you have or don't have, that should all be good. Cucurella will play. I think he will. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Should I take a -4 to get Diaz for Zaha or just play Andres Pereira? I just play Andres Pereira, I think, yeah. I think Diaz could do very well this week, but I'm not that convinced to take a -4, to be honest. Tony or Salah captain? Salah. Still Salah for me. If Liverpool buy Frankie de Jong, they have the money to pay the money he's owed from Barca. I mean, Barca, that's another story in itself, to be honest. Two decent Brentford midfielders, Jensen and just Josh De Silva for the price, really. I think Damsgaard is one to watch out for in the weeks to come, but I don't think he's going to start right now. Trent to Arsenal defender? No, I wouldn't do that this week. Fofana for 4.4, yeah, that looks like a good purchase, of course. Limited in terms of attack and returns, but I think it could be a good option at 4.4. Opinion on Gundogan this game week? I think he's a good choice, you know, and he's the captain now of City. I think he's going to do very well this season. Maybe similar to 2 seasons ago. I'm not too sure if I would go for him this week from -4, for example, but he's someone to definitely look out for. And I've been discussing him, you know, all week, last week as well, and I think he's a great replacement for Mount, for example. Yeah, fair enough, Ali. Look, it's a bit of an odd time to get James. A lot of people will go against that, but I still think he's a great option, and I think he'll do well for you. Thank you, FPL Diamond. Thank you for the shout-out. And yeah, let's try to get to 150 likes. It'd be much appreciated. We've got 150 people watching, and we can definitely get to that. Downgrade Robert to whom if he falls this game week? 0.7 million in the bank. Need to upgrade another to bring Tony then. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm trying to think of which defenders you have or don't have. I mean, maybe Trippier or Zinchenko will do the trick for you, but you might already have triple Arsenal. I don't play draft, Jason. Honestly, I've never played it. I would love to give you some bit of advice or something like that, but honestly, I've never played it. Yeah, maybe I'll just play it just for the sake of it and learn a bit about it, but yeah, I haven't played it. Is Zaha 100% not starting because I got him in this week? Yeah. According to reports, he's not playing. He's injured, and he's going to miss out against City, so yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Yeah, Eddie, that is true, but the news broke out yesterday evening, so yeah, I'm pretty sure the press conference for Vieira was yesterday, maybe lunchtime, if not Thursday. Yes, so I think Zaha's out. Walker or Tony? Tony. Double Brentford? I think one's enough, and Tony's my pick. What's the best time to wildcard? It depends on your team, but I think Game Week 9 could be a good one for me, personally, around that time. Zaha's rumored to be injured, that's why you shouldn't make early transfers. Yeah, but sometimes, I mean, I agree. If you can help it, don't make early transfers, but yeah, a lot of people are kind of maybe fixated on team value. Best midfielder for 5.6 million. You're really limited, but I'd say Jensen's up there as one of the best. Aronson as well. Yeah, Aronson, then Jensen, I think. Should I start Cucurella if I already have James? I'm doing that myself, and I think that's a good choice. Now I'm going to go back. You know what? We're going to go through some kind of team graphics, the ones we've been using in our team selection videos. So, yeah, so this is kind of how I'm lining up at the moment. I could make some transfers. I could, but at the moment, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So, this is how I'm lining up. Ramsdale in goal at home to Fulham, and that's not really going to change at all. Let's keep an eye on Ward versus Iverson for Leicester, because if you are wildcarding in the weeks to come, you know, if Iverson starts, then you'd rather obviously have him. So just keep an eye on that situation. I talked about this in my team selection as well. Defense, I'm going for a back five. I mean, yeah, Cucurella, James. Not a huge fan of double Chelsea defense, but Leicester without Maddison, potentially, if that were to happen, that just boosts the chances of a clean sheet there. Robertson and Trent, I still back there for a clean sheet against Bournemouth. And Cancelo at home to Palace. That's a tricky fixture. City have struggled a lot in recent years. And let's wait and see. But everyone's at home in my whole starting 11. As you can see with my midfield as well. Salah, Martinelli, and Pedro Neto, who is probably the biggest weak link in my whole starting 11, other than perhaps Cucurella, but Neto even more so. And then the two forwards, Jesus and Haaland. In terms of the captaincy, because obviously it's a very popular kind of topic this week, I am going for Mohamed Salah, and it's kind of the go-to captain for most people. And you can see my bench there. One possibility is bringing in Bailey for Neto. I'm still considering that with, 52 minutes left until the deadline. Let me know. Would you start Bailey or Pedro Neto? I think most of you would maybe favour Bailey if I had to hazard a guess. But let's wait and see. If I were to make transfers, it would be this for a -4. If this would work, this would be great. So, yeah. It would be this. Parasitch and Rodrigo coming in for Robertson and Neto for a -4. But I just don't think it's worth a -4 this week, to be honest. As much as I think Rodrigo's an upgrade on Neto, the fixture's quite tough. And Robertson compared to Parasitch, and you factor in the +4 points that you kind of have to make up, I think I'm happy to roll and have another week's worth of data. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking like right now. And just let me know your thoughts. I think I'm going to put a poll out. I think this will be a popular option this week. So which player would you start? And this is kind of my main conundrum from now until the deadline. Neto, Bailey. We'll add Andres Pereira in there as well, who's obviously done very well for me last week. The only one, really, you could argue. Best Wolves asset. I think Josie Starr's still up there. And then you would maybe throw a few other names in there. I think Nunes is one to keep an eye on. And also Guedes. But other than that, I think I would just steer clear from them. I don't trust Wolves offensively, and they've got poor fixtures. Not starting Bailey, not right now, but it's a possibility. I think if I had more confidence in him starting, then I would just go for Bailey over Neto. But yeah, start Neto because Jimenez is back and they're at home. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm going for that at the moment, but I just don't trust him. It'd be typical now if everyone gets rid of Neto, he scores. And then, yeah, he's got 2 good games coming up, and then some people just bring him back in. I mean, that's how some people play the game. West Ham have one of the highest expected goals conceded this season. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But like I said, my main concern is Bailey starting or not. Should I start Alisson or Pickford? This reason I'm considering this is because I've backed double Liverpool defence this entire time, and it just hasn't paid off. Yeah, but he's playing Bournemouth at home, and Liverpool are still much better than Everton. I'd still go for Alisson personally. I can understand what you're saying, but I'd go for Alisson. Who's better for a vice-captain, Jesus or Haaland? I'd go for Jesus this week. On a wildcard, James Trippier and Rodrigo go for Foden, Cucurella and Fofana. Will be my 5th playing Chelsea defender when he moves there and will be on my bench. That looks good. But wait, James Trippier and Rodrigo out for Foden, Cucurella and Fofana. Honestly, I prefer the first trio. Yeah, I wouldn't do that because I'd rather have Rodrigo than Foden. I'd rather have James and Trippier than Cucurella and Fofana. That's just the way I see it, though. Just depends what else you do with the money, but yeah, first trio is better for me. De Silva or Jensen, if you can afford it. De Silva's a bit easier to bench, though, and I wouldn't really want to start either of them every single week, but if it's to start, definitely Jensen, for sure. Harrison or Rodrigo or Grosh? It'd be Rodrigo, then Harrison, then Grosh for me. Who to replace, Robertson or Walker? This week, I'd rather replace Walker and keep Robertson, but the thing with Robertson is that he is also more expensive. You get more money from selling him, and you can upgrade another position. I don't think you necessarily need Spurs in your defence, especially with Parasitch, who's the best option, but he's also an expected minutes concern. Do I put Rodrigo in or Martinelli? I'd rather have Martinelli than Rodrigo still. Or do I take out Zinchenko for Rodrigo? I'd just rather get Martinelli. Yeah. But if that's the case, yeah, I mean, that's a bit tricky. Martinelli's my answer, yeah. The Silva Jensen, like I said, try not to spam the chat, otherwise you're going to get banned. Will Gordon score today? I don't trust him as an option. Honestly, he could, but I'd say no. I just don't trust Gordon or Everton. Hey, mate, I have 2 free transfers on Zaha. In that case, I'd probably sell. The thing is, though, if you have good squad depth, you don't need to. You could just bench him and that's it, but it's difficult. I'm not sure what your team situation is exactly. Thank you, FPL Diamond. Jensen or De Silva or Aronson? Aronson. Then Jensen, then De Silva. Sell Walker or sell Cucurella to get in Perisic? If you already have Cancelo and James, then I would rather sell... It's a tough one, by the way. It's really tough, but I'd probably rather sell Walker. Just because of expected minutes, I think I'd still rather back Cucurella a little bit more. The thing is, though, City are a better defence than Chelsea. I don't think there's an easy answer there. But yeah, I think I'd rather sell Walker. Maybe yes, owner bias. Keep Walker or sell? Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question, mate. There's just spamming. Don't you think Haaland is a rotation this game week? I mean, it's a possibility, but Kane's also going to be a problem in the weeks to come as well with the Champions League. I think Spurs have a group that's maybe kind of balanced. You know, the rest are kind of balanced. Spurs are the favourites to win that group. And, you know, they could drop some points there and they need the likes of Kane to start and they might rest them for the Premier League. So I don't think that's an easy answer there, mate. So I just keep Haaland this week. And in the weeks to come, that's where I think it becomes more of an issue with Haaland, with rotation. With starting Neto, you will also have at least one player for Sunday. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, that's something that I just haven't really thought about much this season. You know, who's playing on the Saturday? You know, who's the first game, for example, early kickoff, the last game, you know, stuff like that. That's a good point. Obviously, it doesn't really play a big part in terms of your actual points scored, but maybe psychologically, you know, that does play a part. For a wild card, who do you think the best keeper is? Best goalkeeper pair for me is Sanchez in goal and a Leicester goalkeeper. I'm not sure if it's going to be Iverson now starting or Ward. Let's see what happens in Game Week 4, but obviously, if you're playing the wildcard now, you need an answer now. Yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. Thank you, FPL Diamond, once again. I appreciate it. Would you sell Edison to Sanchez to free up funds? If it's for free, then possibly, but yeah, definitely not for a hit. Definitely not. My gut is telling me Zinchenko will blank again. The thing is, look, I think Fulham will score, so I don't think you're, you know, necessarily wrong there. I'm just not too sure if Rodrigo scores or does really well against Brighton, so it's going to be tough still. But yeah, that's fair enough. Would you transfer Neto out for Grosh if you have one free transfer? Well, I'm in the same position. I could do that. I could get Grosh in for Neto. Easy. But I still think I'd roll because you could maybe go to someone you prefer, like Harrison or Rodrigo, depending on your preference there. Start with Rodrigo or Grosh? Rodrigo, if you can, or both, and Zinchenko, Walker, bench. I think I'd still start Zinchenko, Walker, and bench Grosh, but it's very tough. Start Cucurella or Foden. Playing Gundogan already. I think I'd still start Foden, yeah. Why not transfer Neto to Jensen? Because Jensen's not someone I want to start week in, week out from now on, and I want to go out of that price bracket in the future. I want to go to Rodrigo, Harrison, or maybe someone more expensive like Gundogan or Zaha in the future. That's why I don't want to do that. I think I'd rather go for Grosh anyway. Should I start Jensen or Wissa? Jensen, I think, yeah. But Wissa's another good Brentford option in the midfield, to be fair. Kane or Gundogan for captain this week? Kane, I'd say. But Gundogan's not a bad choice, actually. Diaz or Rodrigo to buy? I'd rather have Rodrigo. For this week, maybe not so, and it'd be a different answer, but long term, I'd still rather go for Rodrigo. -4 selling Walker and Neto for Jensen and Dunk? I don't think it's worth a -4. Do you think Isaac will be a good FPL option? Honest answer is no. I want to see what he can do in the Newcastle team, and then I'll maybe reassess and change my mind. But right now, I don't think he will be a good option FPL-wise. I'd rather have Callum Wilson. The thing is, Callum Wilson's injury-prone, and Isaac could fill in pretty well there. Get a mixture of goals and assists. He's a good player overall, but I just don't know if he's going to get goals on a consistent basis, to be fair. Walker to Parasitch for free, yes, I'd consider it, but both of them are expected minutes concerns, with Parasitch arguably being even more so, especially with the Champions League looming around the corner. So if you got the squad cover, you know, then yes, I'd do it. But it's kind of a luxury transfer this week. Off topic, but this will be a saucy week in F1 Fantasy. Both Charles and Max, yeah, and Lando start from the back of the grid. I agree. Hamilton has to win tomorrow if he wants to keep that streak of wins every season. Oh, this is his best chance. I don't think he will get another chance this season unless Mercedes make significant upgrades. They haven't looked that great in practice. So the thing is, though, he's also got Carlos Sainz still, and Sergio Perez if he can get his act together, and if there are dry conditions. So yeah, I think if it is dry, I think Perez could be one of the favourites to win the race. If it's wet, you'd maybe fancy Hamilton or Sainz. Salah or Jesus for captain, it would be Salah for me. Who would you replace Neto with for 6.3 million? It would be Harrison. Haaland plus Mahrez to Salah captain plus Welbeck for -4. What do you think? I mean, I could see what you're doing there, and it makes sense. Yeah, I think I'd do it, but very reluctantly, to be honest. I'll leave Zaha in, but I'll get Andres' points when it's updated. Hope Zaha back for Game Week 5 Brentford. I think he will be, but I don't know too much about the injury, to be fair. Let's now go back to FPL team. Yeah, we'll go to FPL.team actually. Just mentioning it now. And this is how my team will look like in Game Week 5. So it's always nice to see how your team will look like in the future weeks. So this is Game Week 4, just to make it clear. And I've got a predicted points total of 64. Doesn't look too bad. And the wildcard drafts I produced actually score less. But now, if we look at Game Week 5, I'm predicted to score 55. So it's actually gone down a little bit, I think. The algorithm has kind of gone down a little bit there on me. But it doesn't look too bad on paper. The only thing, once again, is starting Neto. I could maybe go for Andreas, but yeah, this doesn't look too great. I think captain, I mean, on paper it would be Haaland, but is he going to start against Nottingham Forest? This is where the big conundrums start to lie. And I think rotation can start to really play a big part in our seasons from Game Week 5, 6 onwards. So yeah, it's always important to see how your team looks like in future weeks. So go to sites like FPL.team and see how your team looks like. LiveFPL.net, I think, also does the same thing. So yeah, let's wait and see. And I've got 0.4 million in the bank, as you can see. And just to kind of give you an insight, early insight into what I'm thinking right now in terms of transfers, I'll roll the transfer this week, have 2 next week, and I'll go for something like this. Robertson could become, I mean, ideally it would be Trippier, but he is facing Liverpool, so that might be a bit tricky to accomplish. But let's go for Parasitch, for example, although he's an expected minutes problem. I've said that word a lot today. And we can then go from Neto all the way to Rodrigo, or even Zaha, to be fair, if he is fit. But I think I'd go for Rodrigo. But once again, I'll be watching the matches, keeping a close eye on the stats as well, and seeing what we can do from there. But yeah, I could do that next week. Basically what I showed you earlier, but this will be for free this time. And yeah, I think I'd be a bit more comfortable making these transfers in Game Week 5. I was thinking Dunk, but I don't know. I mean, Saliba is 4.6, so I can't really include him there. Fofana could be interesting. I think I would go for Botman. I believe he's still 4.5 million. So it'd be Botman, White at the moment, or Dunk as the best defenders at 4.5. Yeah, Suryanch, like I said already, it'd be Sanchez and a Leicester goalkeeper as a goalkeeper pairing. I don't think you need much more. Morning, Dylan. Walker to Parasitch for a -4. No, not -4, no. Thank you, TM. I have Pope, Rodrigo, Parasitch, and Trippier on my bench. Starting Sanchez, Veltman, Ward-Prowse, and Gross. Should I be worried? I'd start Pope, potentially, over Sanchez. I think I'd rather back Newcastle for the clean sheet. I would go for Rodrigo over one of those players, such as Grosh or Veltman. I think you are really backing a Brighton there, and if you think they're going to win, that's fair enough. You know, back your gut there. But I wouldn't have Trippier, Parasitch, Rodrigo, and Pope on my bench. I'd probably start all of them, to be honest. Rashford or Harrison? Still Harrison for me. Thank you, Filippo Orlando. Neto to Rashford, James to Parasitch, 2 free transfers, thoughts? Honestly, I don't really see it with United and Rashford still. It's just one game. I want to see a bit more. And James to Perišić is a free transfer, but I think I'd still rather keep James for now. So yeah, I'm not sure what your budget is, but I'd rather do something like Neto to Grosh or Rodrigo or Harrison. And I'm not sure if maybe you have the budget for that. And maybe in that case, it makes sense to do James to Perišić, but honestly, I just don't really see it. I think I'd be happy to roll, even burn the transfer, or just use one. I think that might be the best course of action for you. But then again, it's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Edison to Sanchez and Nico Williams to Walker. I mean, that does look good on paper, but Walker, is he the best player to buy in right now with Sergio Gomez signing? I mean, this is the thing. It's so early in the season. I mean, I just don't know some of these answers. You know, will Walker starting week in, week out? I don't think he will. I think Sergio Gomez will get some games and maybe offer City a bit more in terms of their attacking threat. I think I'd rather go to another defender like Trippier, Zinchenko. I think they would be my preferences over Walker. Saka to Martinelli for -4? No chance. No, I wouldn't do it. Use a free transfer for Gundogan or keep Sancho. I mean, Sancho against Southampton could be decent, but I'd rather go for Gundogan, and I'd probably make the free transfer now. Walker or Parasitch? It'd still be Perišić, but his minutes are a concern. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Is Toney a worthy player to bring into my team? Definitely. I think he's one of the best forwards in the game. Is there value in Toney, or should I stick with 2 strikers? This is the thing. I think there's merit in both. You know, going with 3 with Toney or just going with 2. It's very difficult to fit in Toney without either getting rid of one of Haaland or Jesus or adding him to your front line. You could maybe just wait with Toney, get him in a week or 2 for Haaland, and then upgrade your midfield. I think there's a lot of things you could do, but Toney is definitely worthwhile. I'm not going to deny that. Who should I start, Bailey or Dunk? I think I'd start Dunk, to be honest. I'm just very concerned with Bailey's minutes. I mean, that's why I'm just benching him all the time. Should I take a -4 to replace Neto or Rodrigo? No, not a -4 this week. Best 5 million defender other than Walker and Saliba? Trippier. Also, I would also put... forgot the name. Well, Zinchenko, but he's 5.2 million. That's the thing. So if you're saying 5 million and below, that's a bit of a different answer there. Will Parasitch play? I believe so, but do I see him starting every single game in the next 3? No. I think he'll probably be benched for 1 or 2 of them. Ben Mee, I'm not too sure about that, to be honest. He's got attacking threat, though, I'll give you that. Who should I vice captain? I mean, I go for Jesus. Do you think De Silva starts today? Yes, I think he does. But then again, let's wait and see. Sancho or Rashford? Probably Rashford because he's cheaper, but I don't like any of them. Still. Mount to Gundogan or Bernardo Silva? Gundogan. Trossard or Rashford? Trossard. Hi Dylan, is it wise to transfer out Son to KDB for a 2-week punt? To be honest, I think KDB is better long-term as well. You know, City have 5 home games in the next 7. Spurs only have 2. And De Bruyne is in much better form. City are a better team. I think it's just a good move in general. It might burn you this week, though. I think Son could do very well against Nottingham Forest. Thoughts on Jensen and Grosh for the next 2-3 game weeks? It looks good. It looks good. Jensen's not someone I want to start every single week, but for the next 2 or 3, you're fine. I dreamt that Jesus will get more points than Salah. Well, it's a bit of a weird dream to have, but I wouldn't mind if you're right, to be honest. I wouldn't mind. Start Saliba or Cucurella? I think Saliba. Thank you, Urania, for being a member for 10 months, almost a year. That is crazy. Thank you very much, mate. Who to transfer, Kulusevski versus Forest or Gundogan versus Palace? I think Gundogan's the better long-term replacement. For this week, in terms of the fixture, you could argue it's Kulusevski. That's the better pick, but I prefer Gundogan. Got Haaland and no Spurs assets, fair enough, but you could always do Haaland to Kane next week or in the weeks to come, especially when he starts to get rotated. So, yeah, I'd go for Gundogan still. Bailey or Andreas? Bailey. For this week. Long term, I'd rather have Andreas. Leeds, you got to keep Son for this week. Yeah, I agree. But in the weeks to come, I think De Bruyne's a good purchase. Cucurella benched and Gordon first 11. What do you think? Nah, I don't see it. I mean, that if Tuchel does that, then, wow, I don't know what to say, to be honest. I'd be very surprised. Trippier's 5.1 now, so which other defender? Yeah, so 5 million and below, it becomes a bit trickier. But yeah, I think there will be a clear answer. Saliba's obviously the clear standout. Botman's another one I like. Gabriel is not too bad. I think Fofana in the weeks to come at 4.4 is also okay. I don't think he's amazing, but I think he's decent. So yeah, honestly, it'd be Saliba, who you already said, you know, you kind of already know that. And I'd also add the likes of Botman and Cher into that list. And Dunk. Dunk I really like at 4.5 million. So yeah, that's kind of my answer there. Zaha to Rodrigo and Royal transfer, or Zaha 4.5 million mid and Archer to Toney. Oof. I actually would rather have Toney long term. So yeah, I'd do that, Fabian. 2 free transfers, you're looking good. Not so sure about Parasitch move yet. Conte literally said exactly they won't be getting much minutes in the first game weeks. They would gradually involve him and the rest more. The thing is, he's doing very well with limited minutes. That's the thing. So yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the main concern with Parasitch, and that's why I haven't got him into my team. I was very close in Game Week 1, and also last week I was almost got him into my team as well. Thank you, Fathy. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. De Silva, Andreas, who to start? I think Andreas still. It's really, really close, by the way, like 50-50. I could say one minute and then one the other. I think I'd go for Andreas. Who should I captain? Up to you, but I'm going for Salah. I think other options include Kane, Jesus, Haaland, De Bruyne. I think those are the best choices this week. Most game time secure Arsenal defender? Gabriel. Gabriel for me is the most nailed. Start Gordon or Neto? Neto still, I think. I'm just not a huge fan of Gordon. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of him. Whether it's at Chelsea, Everton, I don't really care where he's at. I just don't really trust him offensively. Watch that be famous last words. Dallo or Neto? Probably Neto still, yeah. Why is Dunk being talked about more than Webster and Veltman? Does he have more of an attacking threat? Well, in terms of the last few Premier League seasons, he's the highest scoring defender. Last season he didn't score, I think he only scored 1 goal, but he typically is the biggest threat from set pieces. So yeah, offensively I think he does have a bit more to offer than Veltman and Webster. And also in general, Dunk is the most nailed. You know, he's just a shoe-in on that Brighton defence. Will Marpy start for Everton? It's very tough with these new signings because you don't know how much training they've had. You don't know kind of what the plans are throughout the whole week. Everton are desperate for a striker, so I think if he's fit to play, he's had a training session, he will start. But I just don't know the answers to those questions, and therefore I can't tell you definitively. But I think he will start, yeah. Thanks for the answer, mate. Thank you, Fabian. Thank you very much. Dunk or De Silva? I think De Silva this week, just because I don't see Brighton keeping a clean sheet, even if they will maybe win the game. It's a tough one. It's a really good game. I think probably the best this week, one of the best. I transferred James for Janssen, just got James for a -4. I bought in Janssen last week. Wow, that is crazy. But yeah, then again, you know, it's just kind of early weeks where we're kind of testing the waters, you could say. Hi Dylan, what transfer have you made this week? Nothing. I'm just rolling the transfer, and next week I could do this, what you see on screen, and get Perišić and Rodrigo in for Robertson and Neto, but I could do it this week for a -4. I just don't really see the need to do it. So, yeah, I'm going for this instead. Rolling my transfer and locked in. Same here, Deadly Mantis. The only thing that could change is Neto and Bailey. And as you can see, most people going for Neto, but it's quite close. You know, Andreas and Bailey have the exact same votes. That is amazing. Robertson out for Perisic. Not this week. Yeah, that could be something I do next week, but like we keep on saying in the stream, you know, the minutes for Perisic is always going to be a concern. Thanks, mate. I hope you rebound and get the rank you deserve. Thank you, mate. It's only 3 game weeks anyway. I'm not too worried. Obviously, when you're in a good rank, even from the start, it does kind of reassure you. I think this time last year I was 100k, so there's a huge difference, but I don't think there's a huge difference in terms of the rank. So, you know, I'm keeping it composed, but I appreciate it. But we keep pushing 10k last year, so I want to match that. Yeah, or even better than I think it's possible. Although this year, it could be even tougher to get into those kind of ranks, of course. It kind of gets tough every year. Thoughts on Trippier? I think he's one of the best options around that price. His attacking returns are a bit overrated. Great free kick taker, but yeah, I think Newcastle have a great defence. Nick Pope or Trippier, you know, to cover their defence is all good. And also you've got Botman, Share. There's so many choices. I don't think there's a right or wrong there. Bernardo Silva or Diaz? Diaz, FPL-wise. Do you think Isaac will start? Not too sure, but either way, I wouldn't go for him just yet. I want to see first, yeah. I'm glad I kept Sanchez last week, but I did Sancho and CR7 to Rodrigo and Hannon this week. Hopefully all goes well. I still don't like United assets that much, to be honest, but fair play for keeping Sancho. But yeah, wait, I'm guessing you're saying Rashford or you got rid of Rashford, but yeah, either way, both of them got returns. Yeah, last half an hour. Be sure to make in your transfers just in case the site crashes, which I don't think it will this week, but yeah, just to kind of get into that habit. Diaz or Kulusevski? Kulusevski. Also Malacia. He looked pretty impressive. Even against Brentford, you know, he wasn't too shabby. Still, I don't trust United defensively. I wouldn't go for him FPL-wise. Not right now. I'm thinking of going from Haaland to KDB this very minute. That makes sense. That's something you could do maybe next week anyway. I wouldn't do it for a hit, but for free, that looks pretty fine to me, to be honest. Should I stick with Saka? If it's Saka to Martinelli for free, then yes, you could just do it, and I would definitely make that move, whether it's now or next week. Just depends on your preference. For a -4, no, because I think Saka could do pretty well against Fulham. Kane to Haaland and Bailey to Rodrigo for a -4, or just Bailey to Harrison. That's the thing. If you're happy with Harrison and you don't think there's a huge difference between him and Rodrigo, I would just do that instead, rather than taking a -4. And yeah, Kane to Haaland, I don't see the reason to do that now, especially with Haaland being a rotation risk in the weeks to come. Maybe even this week, potentially, who knows. I'm at rank 145k and have all my chips. Yeah, it's a good start. And yeah, and with all the chips intact, that's good. Rodrigo, Gundogan. Rodrigo for the price, but Gundogan's looking exceptional right now. Welcome, Jeff. Rashford to Harrison, Rodrigo. Grosh, Trossard. It'd be Rodrigo. Just really incredible in the first 3 game weeks. He could be the new Antonio Benrahma from last season and start to die down. Hopefully not, but just putting out there. Captain Salah, Gundogan. Salah for me. Yeah, it's hard this year, because the template is really strong. We really need to catch these differentials. Yeah, and that's why I was very frustrated with myself for not going for Perišić, because that was an 11-point swing. And who knows? I haven't checked the ranks exactly, but I think I'd be in the top million, or definitely be close. You know, I'd be much better off for sure. Thanks. Then another question: who's the best replacement for Neto? Only have 5.5 to spend. It'd be Aronson. Yeah, Aronson would be the best replacement for me. Yeah, that's fine. FPL Diamond. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you very much. Should I start James or Rodrigo? James this week. I have Sanchez in goal, so swaying towards James. Yeah, I'd do that anyway. I'd still want to start him, despite Chelsea's struggles defensively. Sell Haaland for Kane, have 2 free transfers and nothing else to do. No, that's fair enough, yeah. And also in terms of minutes, you'd probably rather have Kane for the next few game weeks. Odegaard, a good differential. Honestly, look, he's not bad. I just don't really... Look, I prefer Rodrigo for 0.1 million less. You've got Harrison. You've got also Arsenal assets. Martinelli's better. Saka is still better for me. Jesus, Saliba, Zinchenko, Ramsdale. So if you want to triple up on Arsenal, I'd rather go for those options instead. So it's not bad, but I think there are better choices in the Arsenal team. Is Fofana the next best budget defender? The thing is, we've also heard this with Fofana a few years ago. I think last season, a lot of people wanted to start the season with him. The thing is, as an FPL asset, yes, the clean sheets now are much more likely with Chelsea, but look, he's not going to be bad at 4.4. I don't think he's going to be bad, but I don't think he's going to be that great. Like, I think Botman, I'd still rather have him. Lewis Dunk, Saliba. I think they're all better choices, especially Saliba right now. 150 likes. Thank you, lads. Thank you, FPL Diamond, and thank you to everyone for liking the stream. It's much appreciated, and be sure to subscribe as well if you haven't already. It's much appreciated, and it goes a long way in supporting the channel. And yeah, also hitting the notification bell so you never miss a single upload or stream. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. There's the league code on the left-hand side if you want to join. All the links are in the description below, including the Patreon and channel memberships, and also the Twitter and Instagrams if you want to get in touch. Discord servers, everything is there. So yeah, in terms of subscribers, I think we've also made progress today as well. But yeah, we're trying to get to 13,000 subscribers and then trying to build on from there. But yeah, we're kind of like 750 away from that kind of milestone. But already a lot of progress made in the last week, which is much appreciated. Predictions for Spa today. I think, well, in terms of qualifying, it just depends. I'm not even sure what the weather's going to be like. I'm guessing it's going to rain. But in terms of this race weekend, I think Hamilton and Sainz are the most likely to win the race. Then it'd be Perez. Verstappen, I mean, the form he's showing and the pace he had in practice, he could win the race from last, the way he's going. But yeah, it just depends on strategy, so many factors. In terms of ranking the probability of a win, I would say Hamilton, Sainz, and Verstappen. And that could be the podium in any order. Thank you, Rai. Saka to Kulusevski 1 week into a wild card. I'd keep Saka this week, to be honest. I'd rather make another move later on. Best defenders for 5.3 and under. Zinchenko, Trippier. Probably my favourites, yeah. Who to bench? James, Cucurella, Rodrigo, Trippier. Probably either Cucurella or Rodrigo. And because of the form, I'd maybe just bench Cucurella. It's tough, though. Yeah, I agree, Singh, I agree. Which is the better long-term combination? Sanchez and Zinchenko or Ramsdale and Dunk? Both good, but I prefer Sanchez and Zinchenko. Bench one from Neto, Harrison and Veltman. Probably Veltman, yeah. Foden to Rodrigo, Martinelli. Martinelli for me. Thank you, Melvin, for the shout-out. Mitrovic for Haaland. I mean, Haaland's going to be a rotation risk, so I understand why you're doing it. But I just don't know what you're going to do with the rest of the money. I'm guessing you're going to make a huge upgrade, maybe in your midfield. And in that case, that's fair enough. You can get De Bruyne, and that looks great. Thank you, Diamond. Hamilton win, probably. I think Norris will do well. The thing is, isn't Norris starting from the back of the grid as well? I'm not too sure about that. I'm going to be locking in my F1 team after this stream is over as well. So, yeah, it never stops. Verstappen over Russell. I mean, that's tough. Verstappen will still get qualifying points. I'm guessing he's still going to go ahead with qualifying and get the points that way. And I think he's going to do very well in the race, make up a lot of race positions, and probably finish in the top 4, top 3. Yeah, right. I think that's a good prediction. I think Verstappen will do very well. Yeah, I mean, Verstappen over Russell, probably still, yeah. But Hamilton's probably the best option this week with the double streaks. The thing is, though, if you have to undo most of your team, that's where it gets a bit difficult. Okay, for chasing rank, do you recommend captaining Jesus over Salah? Like Singh said, it's far too early to chase rank, and only go for Jesus if you think he can outscore Salah. If you don't think that, then don't do it, you know, because if Salah outscores Jesus as you predicted, and you only went for Jesus because of the differential side of it, then you're just going to be going even further behind. So it just depends on what you think. I think Jesus is a great option this week, but I prefer Salah. What do you think about Willian going to Fulham? He's been training with them. Granted, he was a flop at Arsenal, but might be a good fit for the wing. The thing is, I'm not sure, because I heard very bad things about his time in Brazil. He received death threats, I think, and stuff like that. And his motivation seems to be gone from football. I remember he had a very good start for Arsenal against Fulham, Game Week 1. He got like 2 assists or something like that. He had a great performance, but yeah, I mean, his last good season was at Chelsea. He could do well at Fulham, you know, and I think Marcus Silva's got something good going there. I think the attack could benefit from him, the experience as well, what he brings to the dressing room. But do I see him, you know, being a massive, you know, signing, you know, a reason why Fulham stay up? No. But Fulham have a good chance of staying up anyway if they continue the way they're going. But yeah, I think he could turn things around. He loves London. But I would question his kind of motivation. Kane or Haaland? Kane because of minutes. Starting Nurio de Silva, I would start de Silva, reluctantly. Yeah, that's a good prediction, Jeff. But like, I have to check this with Norris. Isn't he starting from the back of the grid? If he is, then I wouldn't put him third. But I'm guessing he isn't. Then maybe I got that one wrong. I think Ocon, Leclerc, was it Hamilton? Oh yeah, so Verstappen, Leclerc, Norris, Ocon, Bottas and Schumacher all starting at the back of the grid. So, yeah, Norris third, I disagree. I don't think Norris finishes third. Top 5, top 7, yeah, it's a possibility. But, yeah, I think Verstappen's going to finish above Norris for sure, unless something happens to him. Maddison to Gundogan -4. I mean, because Maddison's an injury doubt, fair enough. But otherwise, no. I mean, I just don't like it for a -4, but I see where you're coming from. Arnold or Jesus captain? I'd go for Jesus this week. I'm assuming if you have Sanchez, then going a Brighton defender as your 4.5 defender isn't a good idea. As good as Brighton are, I wouldn't double up on their defence. So I'd rather go to Saliba at 4.6, or you can maybe go for Botman and cover Newcastle, who are another good defence right now. Start one of Nico Williams, De Silva, or Andreas. It's between De Silva and Andreas, and I would favour Andreas right now. Captain Jesus, Salah, KDB, all good, but I'm going for Salah. And vice would be probably Jesus, but not many times I'm going to favour Jesus over KDB this season for captaincy. What do you think will happen to Rodrigo when Bamford comes back? I think there's the possibility of him dropping to the attacking midfield role or even dropping out of the team. I mean, the thing is, it's really harsh. The form he's in, I don't think he's going to be benched. But I think he could change role and be less of a goal scorer, and Bamford will be in those big positions. The thing is, Bamford's always kind of an interlinker. He's not always just there in the box. He offers much more than that. But yeah, I think Rodrigo won't be as appealing, potentially. Neto versus Bailey versus Pereira. I think I'd go for Neto. That's what I'm doing right now. And kind of the order that I've got in my bench, you know, Bailey's on my bench over Pereira. Verstappen Leclerc clash, I don't see that happening. Obviously, it can happen. It hasn't happened this season, but I think they're a bit more respectful. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I've done Maddison to Rodrigo. Can do Bailey to Rashford -4. No, I wouldn't do it. I don't like Rashford that much anyway. Ryan, I'm rolling the transfer. Best 5.5 million midfielder, it'd be Aronson, then Jensen, I think. Saka to Rodrigo. No, I wouldn't do that. Or do I keep Saka and roll? Exactly that. I'd keep him on roll. You can do that next week and make another improvement. I'm wandering between 2 to 4 million ranks so far. Need some captain differentials. Yeah, but like I keep on saying, you know, don't just go for someone because he's a differential. Go for him because you genuinely believe he can do the best this week. Jesus is a great option. Another one would be Kane. Haaland's not bad either, of course. But yeah, I'm just going for Salah, even though I'm at 2 million rank. Hi Dylan, start the Silva, Patson, Andreas or Nico. I would probably go for Andreas. It's between him and the Silva. If you're going for the fixture, it'd definitely be the Silva, but yeah. Is Kulusevski worth holding on to? I mean, yeah, I think he is maybe for another week or so, but Martinelli is definitely better long-term in terms of price and value. Kane and Diaz to De Bruyne and Tony next game week. That looks good to me. Yeah. The only thing is, though, I mean, yeah, at least you're waiting for this week because I think Kane and Diaz will probably outscore or score similarly to the other duo. It's very hard to separate the two of them, though. Force on my FPL draft team. I can't really comment too much on FPL drafts, but I'll try. Ramsdale, Sanchez, Gomez, Cucurella, Mount, Wissa, Rodrigo, Maximan, Kulusevski, Jimenez, Haaland. It doesn't look too bad, but a few players I don't trust. I'll say Maximan, Jimenez, Joe Gomez. I mean, a clean sheet against Bournemouth should be possible. And yeah, it doesn't look too bad for a draft team. Neto to Grosh. It's a good transfer, but I could do that myself, by the way, but I'm waiting for more information, 2 free transfers, and potentially better options like Rodrigo. No CR7 in the starting lineup. Let me check Twitter. I'm not sure if that's confirmed or not. Obviously, that is the early kickoff. I wouldn't be surprised if Ronaldo doesn't start, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But yeah, let me know what the source is because that's the important thing. I'm a bit skeptical about Twitter and where the news comes from most of the time. Yeah, I'm checking Twitter right now. I don't see anything, but I'm guessing you've seen something there. Yeah, nothing yet on my end. Hi Dylan, do I start Maddison? If you're going to keep him, then yes, I would start him because I think if he does, he's, I wouldn't say likely, but he's got a good chance of getting something against Chelsea. Should I start Gray or De Silva? I think I'd start, that's a good question. I think I'd go for De Silva. It's really close though. Worth doing Robertson to Nico Williams and a 4.5 million striker to Tony with 2 free transfers? No. I wouldn't do it. It's a good move long term, and Tony could do well against Everton, but I like Robertson against Bournemouth, so you could hold off for another week, maybe make another transfer elsewhere. If you can't and you don't want to burn the transfer, then do it, fair enough. Yeah, that's a good wildcard team. Yeah, it's nice. Is this nice? No, Snio. I probably got that wrong as well. Yeah, good front line, very good front line. I'm not sure your midfielders, though. I mean, what, you have Sanchez, James, Trent, Parasitch, Cancelo. It looks great, but then you got Martinelli. What's your other midfielder? That's what I'd be wondering. But the players that you have listed are really good. Hi Dylan, who to start, Bailey or Grosh? Grosh for me. Start Jensen or Perišić? I'd start Perišić. Walker or Henry out for either Saliba or Zinchenko? Good question. I would rather get Saliba, and I think I'd rather get rid of Henry, despite my concerns about Walker long term. Parasitch to Saliba, I want to do it this week. Fofana and Zinchenko or Perisic and Nico Williams on Wildcard. As a duo, Fofana and Zinchenko look better, but it also depends because if you have already like good squad depth, you know, you don't need to have 2 or 3 really good options on your bench. And in that case, just go for Perisic and Nico Williams. What's the best source for league team news? I think there's a few. I think Team News and Ticks is one, FPL Rockstar, but sometimes they put it after the deadline. So it just depends. And also just these journalists like David Ornstein who will have some information sometimes, but it's kind of rare for him to give team news. So yeah, it just depends on the source, how reliable they are. But those are 3 reliable sources. You can trust them. Any team news? Not that I'm aware of. I'm checking Twitter right now and I don't see anything. Best sources trust me. Yeah, definitely. Anthony Saga's a bit mad. He's not worth 90 million euros, honestly. He's a good skiller. He's a good dribbler, but he's not worth that, honestly. Hi, Guedes or Bernardo Silva for 2 free game weeks? Honestly, I'd still rather have Bernardo Silva, but Gundogan is the best option if you can go to him. Walker or Henry out? I already answered that question, TB12. I'm in the same predicament to start Neto or Bailey. I'm going for Neto, and I kind of share the sentiment from most people in the poll. We're going to end it over 340 votes. I think 344 in total. Kane for Haaland. I mean, you could do it this week or in a few weeks, time. That's a move I'm looking to do yet again. Jesus, I've kind of got on the wrong end of Kane Haaland every single week. That's kind of my fault anyway. It's a shame though. I think Haaland, whenever he starts, he's going to get points pretty much. Putting Guedes from Wolves, is that an okay pick? He looked good against Spurs, but I don't trust Wolves offensively. And after the next 3, Wolves have some tough games. So obviously it's going to be a risk, but hopefully it pays off for you. Best goalkeeper on the wildcard for me is Sanchez, and another one would be Nick Pope. Ramsdale's looking pretty good as well, but those two are even better. Yeah, we're very close to the deadline, 13 minutes now. Should I start Zaha? He's not going to start or play at all. So, yeah, I mean, you could just start him in the very odd case that he starts or does something, but I just don't see him. I trust the sources that said that he's not going to play yesterday, and I'm going to maintain that belief. So if you don't have good squad depth or good cover for him this week, you could just sell him. Otherwise, it's worth keeping. Thoughts on my forwards on wildcard: Tony, Mitrovic, and Jesus. That looks great, especially with Kane and Haaland being kind of rotation risk. You could say, especially Haaland in the weeks to come. That looks great. Start Neto, Andreas, have Salah, Rodrigo, and Saka midfield. Neto. I'm going for Neto. Swapping Neto for Grosh and swapping Bailey for Rodrigo. Good idea. I have 2 free transfers. That looks good. You're improving your midfield for sure. There might be more midfielders that pop about in the weeks to come, though. That is something I will bear in mind, but it looks good for sure. Dennis to start for Forest. I'm not sure if he starts this week. You also have Taiwo Awoniyi and Brennan Johnson, who plays in those 4 positions. Harrison or Grosh? I prefer Harrison, but it's close. Gray or De Silva? I answered your question already. I'm not sure if it was you who asked it, but I would go for Silva, reluctantly. I don't trust any of them. Okay, yeah, that looks much better. And you've got Salah and Rodrigo as well. That looks like a great wildcard team, to be fair. And as long as you have one decent option on the bench to cover for the rotation risks, like Parasitch, that looks really good. Really, really good. I don't know what team is more stupid, Man U for bidding that much or Ajax for not buying that. That's a really good point. That's maybe comment of the day. Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's probably the best way to sum that kind of move up. Hey Dylan, do I start Maddison? Yeah, I'd start him if you are, willing to keep him. Really can't trust City assets except KDB or Cancelo. I think Gundogan's a really good one right now, and potentially Diaz if you're willing to go to him. Do you think Bailey starts this week? I'm guessing yes, but I wouldn't be able to count on it. That's the problem. Buy Gundogan or Trossard. I already own Rodrigo. Gundogan. Gundogan's my preference. Worth going Patterson to a 5.4 for a -4. If this is to start and you don't want to start Patterson, then that makes sense. But you can always start Andres Pereira, even Bailey or Neto this week and save the -4. And if that's the case, I'd do that. Is it worth selling Plange as he's on loan? For a free transfer, yes. Especially if you are about to burn one and you don't want to do that. And you can go to Stansfield. Maybe United is going to bid 120. No, honestly, if they do that, I'm just going to laugh. I mean, look, he could turn out to be a good signing, but it seems far too much, and I don't trust United's kind of judgment in transfers. Robertson may not start the match. I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but I think he will. Start Harrison or Elliott? I'd start Harrison. Grosh or Harrison? Harrison. Good replacement for cash. Trippier, Zinchenko. If you're looking at someone a bit cheaper, then Saliba's a great choice. Yeah, 10 minutes to go. Should I replace Mendy in goal, and if so, with who? Either Robert Sanchez or Nick Pope. Best wildcard defenders, Trent still for me, Cancelo, Reece James, and I would put the likes of Saliba, Zinchenko, Trippier. Take your pick there. I think they're all great options. Perisic is also pretty good, despite the minutes concern. Will you also Haaland for Kane Game Week 5? It's a possibility. I just want to see what we get in Game Week 4, and also... yeah, just the kind of murmurings we get over the next week or so. But that is a possibility, for sure. James to Patterson and Archer to Welbeck for a -4 or roll? Nah, definitely roll. I wouldn't do James to Patterson from -4. No chance. No, it's not worth it. for me. Not even next week as well for free. They have definitely watched a few YouTube highlights and thought he looks good, and Ten Hag says he's good, so bidding 100 million. Yeah, they're looking a bit too much into Ten Hag's kind of market, you know, the Dutch market, you know, Malasia. And then, yeah, I just don't really trust the judgment and the planning. Yeah, United, they need to look a bit beyond the Dutch market, that's for sure. There's better wingers out there for much cheaper than Antony. Then again, Chelsea, 60 million for Gordon, I think is an awful business as well. Although I think Antony at 90 million might be even worse or just as bad. Is Almiron a good option? Look, he's only 5 million, but I wouldn't go for Almiron. I'd rather have Andres Pereira at 4.5 and just bench him. Can I have free subs if I don't use my 2 last? No. You can't add another free transfer on top of 2. So yeah, that's the maximum you can have. Play De Silva or Neto, I'd go for Neto. I know 70 million is pocket money for Newcastle, but that's a lot of money for a player who only scored 6 goals. That's true in La Liga last season and also for the season before that. And I don't think FPL-wise he will be that great, to be honest. And that answers Ahmed's question as well. I don't think Isaac will be that great FPL-wise. I don't see him getting an amazing amount of goal contributions. I think Callum Wilson's a better choice when he's fit. Hi, Dylan. Would you start De Silva or Pereira? Probably Pereira because of form, and I also like the way he's playing. But it's quite tough between the two. Start Emerson or De Silva. Emerson Real. Yeah, it'd be Emerson Real. Sanchez and Saliba or Edison and Nico Williams. Sanchez and Saliba. I can't believe Liverpool are now going at De Jong. It would be a good move, though, I think. It would be a good move for both parties if that were to happen. De Silva, yeah, I already answered that question, Faisal. I would go for Pereira, reluctantly. Hello, Dylan. I have a similar team, but Diaz in midfield over Robertson and Kane instead of Haaland. So I'll roll my transfer, but Cucurella and Neto are the main players I'm thinking of selling. Yeah, I'm in the same boat, especially Neto. I think he's a bigger priority sell. De Silva or Andreas? Yeah, we've just answered that a few times. I'd go for Andreas, personally. Start Ramsdale or Raya? I'd go for Ramsdale. Haaland or Kane on the wild card? Probably Kane because of minutes. Yeah, it's kind of tough though, Ben, because De Silva has the better fixture, and Brentford have also looked pretty good going forward, but probably go for Pereira. Bailey or Andreas? I'd once again probably go for Bailey. I mean, that's what I'm doing at the moment, but it's really, really tough. And that's with the assumption that Bailey starts, and, you know, with that in mind, you could arguably start with a Neto in my case. Buy Emerson, Real, or Dunk? Dunk, for sure. I'd rather have him long-term. Walker, James on the bench. Zaha looks out against City. Yeah, he's out. I think Walker's a good choice. I wouldn't bench James, though. I mean, that's the thing. You could just bench someone else. Yeah, Jeff, if you're talking about the Zaha thing, I mean, that was from yesterday. I'll try to get the news up for you, but I also want to see if there's any new bit of news right now. Yeah, Paul O'Keefe, by the way, comes up with the Tottenham lineup. I mean, he predicts 0 changes for Tottenham, so I would... Yeah, I mean, he does say it's just a prediction, but... You know, he makes some very good predictions. I'd be quite confident that he's right, and this will be the lineup for Spurs. So I'm going to put that on screen. But as he does say, disclaimer, it is a prediction. So here you go. No changes from the Spurs game, for the last game against Wolves. And yeah, I think that's what's going to happen, really. Dunk or Veltman? Dunk, just for the attacking threat, and he's a bit more nailed, I'd say. Also, Fofana 4.4. He could offer good value, but I wouldn't expect, you know, I don't think he's going to be a game-breaking player all of a sudden. And Chelsea are still Chelsea. They're not great defensively at the moment. Who to captain from De Bruyne, Diaz, Jesus, Kane, Tony? All good choices, but I'd probably look between Kane, Jesus, and De Bruyne, and I'd probably go for Kane. It's really tough, though. Start Rodrigo or Rashford? Rodrigo. Is it bad benching Rodrigo? Yes, potentially. Despite the fixture, Rodrigo is the most informed player in the league, and he's looking fantastic. Ronaldo on the bench. Yeah, I haven't seen this exactly. I'm trying to find all this bit of news, but yeah, I'm just not getting it on my feed or finding it on Twitter. But yeah, Ronaldo. Let me see if let me type in Ronaldo bench. Maybe that'll help refine my search. Yeah, where's this coming from? I'm seeing a lot of people saying he's benched, but what's the original source that says that? I mean, look, it doesn't surprise me Ronaldo being benched. It doesn't surprise me. Yeah, hey, let's see, what's this? I mean, I'm not sure how reliable this page is. I mean, is 12,000 followers. MUFC won it all. No, but yeah, no, that's not even from this day. Yeah, I don't know where this is coming from. I'm gonna try find the source. If you have it, by the way, put it in the live chat, because honestly, I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling. Dylan, the sources trust me. Either way, I wouldn't be surprised if he's benched. Saliba or Zinchenko, Saliba for the extra millions. Bench Mitrovic, Saliba or Walker. I would rather bench one of Saliba or Mitrovic. It just depends on what you think is going to happen in that Arsenal-Fulham game. I think there could be goals in that one for both teams, and therefore I'd probably start Mitrovic, but really, really tough one. Is Gundogan a good pick for Game Week 4? Definitely. I think it's a great pick. Great pick, yeah. Let's now go back to my team. Hopefully there's no copiers out there. There's always kind of some people who copy. I wouldn't recommend that in general. Not just my team in general. I wouldn't recommend copying someone else. But this is what I'm doing. And there we go. Best Arsenal defender, probably Saliba, then Zinchenko. Start Sanchez or Ramsdale. I would start Ramsdale this week. I think he's a bit more likely for a clean sheet. Thoughts on Grealish plus Vardy to Gundogan Jesus from -4. I like it. I'd do it. Yeah, -4. I'd go for it. I do believe Su will be benched and therefore will be the last time in a Man United shirt. I mean, apparently he's been asking Napoli to move there. I mean, he just seems desperate. I mean, it's kind of sad to see, you could say. But yeah, I think he'll be benched. But let's wait and see there. Thanks, Singh. Any more questions? Maddison or Botman for this game week? I think Botman is more likely to get a return than Maddison. And also Maddison's an injury concern, but Maddison's ceiling is higher. I'd probably go for Botman this week. But yeah, I think that's all the questions covered. Trippier or Perisic? Long term, I'd argue Trippier, because he's just nailed. You know, he's going to play every week. There's no Europe, and I think Newcastle have a good defense, so I'd probably say Trippier. For this week, it's a bit tougher, and Perisic will get more attacking returns, I think, but Trippier is probably my preference. Yeah, we're 2 minutes left. Do you think Trossard's a good differential? Yes, especially if Estupiñán starts in Game Week 4 and that pushes Trossard further forward. But Trossard could still get returns from left wing back, so he's a good option nonetheless, and he's a good choice. But with Rodrigo kind of taking the limelight, he's kind of gone under the radar. I feel like all the points will go to Diaz, not Salah. I hope not. I really hope not. And it would be a big shame. Dylan, I started Parasitch and Captain Salah. That looks good. I mean, yeah, if I had Parasitch, I'd start him as well. Should I bench Saliba or De Silva? I'd rather bench De Silva and start Saliba, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, 1 minute to go. So that's it. We are about to be locked in around 40 seconds. So be sure to have everything set. And this is my final team. Ramsdale in goal, Reece James, Trent, Cancelo, Robertson, Cucurella forming a back five. Neto, Martinelli, Salah, who is my captain. My vice is Haaland, but I mean... That's something I actually haven't changed. Oh, God, I damn forgot to change the team for my family. Oh, my God. 20 seconds left. Can I do something? Oh, no, Jesus. I mean, team's fine, isn't it? Team's fine. I mean, it doesn't look too bad, actually. Looks pretty good. I don't think it needs a change. I mean, the team looks fantastic. Oh, my God. Burning a transfer, though. Can I make a quick transfer? Come on, come on, come on. Oh my God, I'm literally in... Oh no, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. Fuck's sake. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ. Fuck's sake. Pardon my French. This is for... Not my team, by the way, so for another team. Yes, it's too late. I'm literally just going to do that. Archer to Stansfield, I mean, but you'd rather do that, you know. Anyway, it's done. I'm going to try and find the source of this Ronaldo bench thing. Would be good to see, but yeah. Everyone's saying he's benched, so I don't know. Ridiculous. League lineup says Ronaldo's benched again. Well... Yeah, I mean, I still can't find the original source, but everyone's saying it. Anyway, yeah, time's up, time's up. I think Ronaldo wants Champions League football. Yeah, but still... I mean, I think the main reason why he wants to be in Champions League, other than obviously it being the prestigious competition, is because he wants to extend his Champions League record and make sure no one surpasses it. You know, you've got Messi right now who can, you know, close the gap. And you've also got Haaland and Mbappe in the future. I started Parasitch and bench Trippier. Fair enough. I would have started both, but then it just depends on who else you have in your team. I mean, you probably have a really good team then. Yeah, good luck to everyone. Walker or Andreas, who to play? I would have played Walker, no doubt. Best of luck, DG. Yeah, it's over. Locked in. Good luck, Sidindra. Yeah, the words at the end. The most calmest race from Dylan. Yeah, I'm trying to suppress it. It's because I forgot. I literally forgot. It's just hard, though, you know, kind of managing your own team and someone else's as well. But the team looked fantastic. You know, it didn't really need a transfer. Yeah, it's done. Locked in. Good luck, Lynn. Good luck, Singh. Good luck, everyone watching. Start Williams instead of Neto. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd be very concerned about that. I don't see a clean sheet for Nottingham Forest. But if it happens, it's cause for celebration. It definitely is. I have no idea why. I see that's an easy win. Okay, easy win. A win is possible, but easy win, it does seem a bit of a stretch. A bit of a stretch. Bailey or Andreas? I went for Bailey over Andreas on my bench, so yeah. Can we see the team? I'll try to bring it on screen. So yeah, this is the other team. Oh no, I can't bring it on screen anyway because I lost it. I lost it. Jesus Christ! But basically, the team was, if I can remember correctly, Edison in goal, Trent, Cancelo, James, Botman, and I think Zinchenko. I'm not sure if it was Zinchenko. I can't remember that. The midfield was Martinelli, Salah, and oh god, I can't remember. It was just a good team. It looked better than mine, that's for sure. Haaland and Jesus up front, and who's the other midfielder for Christ's sake? It might be an 8 million midfielder, isn't it? I'm not sure. It's a good team. It's better than mine. Okay, it's as simple as that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Edison was in goal and Botman was in defence. Thank you, Kobe. Thank you very much for tuning in. Any changes to your F1 team? I haven't made any changes yet, but we can show that now because I'm not going to be doing an F1 fantasy stream. So yeah, let me bring up my F1 fantasy team. Oh, let me guess. You got to sign in. You got to sign in. Yeah, if that's the case, then I'm going to have to put another screen up. Okay, no, we don't have to. Okay, that's great. Let's now bring up the F1 fantasy screens. Okay, I'm not muted, right? Okay, for some reason it said I'm muted. All right, so this is F1 Fantasy. Yay. Let me bring up the capture. All right, so, yeah, well, is this all teams? No. All right, this is all teams. All right, so these are all the teams. What I'm thinking of doing, but I'm going to wait for FP3 first. This is the tricky question. I could have Red Bull and still go for Lewis Hamilton, who I think has a great chance of winning the race this week. And I also would keep Sainz, despite the streak for Leclerc. He'll still get points because he can qualify in a good position, but obviously have the penalty in place. So I could go for something like this. Then maybe go for Norris out for Alex Albon and Alonso out for Lance Stroll. I could do something like this. Stroll has looked very good. You know, it's kind of a surprise. You know, he's been in the top 4 or 5 in both practice sessions. So this is one build I could do. I've got a bit of a limited budget, only 105 million. But it does get a bit trickier after that. So let's have a few tabs open so I can show you some different alterations and stuff like that. So that's kind of the main thing I'm looking at. But then there's another kind of build I could do with Lewis Hamilton. And that's with Ferrari as the constructor. It gives me a bit more money, a bit more balance in the team. And I can go for something like this. So we'll go for Hamilton again. We'll go for probably Lance Stroll again. You know, that looks pretty good. But it also allows us, I think, to have Lando Norris, yeah, and Sainz and Magnussen. So, yeah, that's kind of where my head's at if I really want to go for Hamilton in my first team. And then if I just decide to go for a bit more of a template team, cover Red Bull and also Ferrari, I could do something like this. Because Norris is starting at the back of the grid, I could get rid of him for Sergio Perez and go for something like this. But guess what? I'm 0.2 million short. But then I could also do Alonso down to, let's say, Lance Stroll again. So let me know what you think. I like the kind of double Red Bull, double Ferrari cover. It's obviously risky. I'm not a big fan of Perez at the moment. You know, he's not looking great in recent form. He's not doing well in the practice sessions, and he's not a great driver in the rain. I will say that. But yeah, this is another possibility. As you can see, I still have yet to decide, but one of these 3 builds roughly will be my final team for the main team. I definitely will have Hamilton in one of my builds, that's for sure. And I will try to have Red Bull in one team and also Ferrari in another squad. But yeah, that's where my head's at the moment. And yeah, we'll wait and see. Newcastle's winning the league. Yeah, no chance of that. Not this year. Nervous week for me. Took a -4, sold James and Dewsbury Hall to Rodrigo and Dunk currently, but I started the Silva and bench Dunk. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of any of them this week, but Dunk's a good choice long term. 8-minute midfielder, Mount, Maddison, Diaz, Kulusevski. Maddison still for me, but he's obviously an injury concern right now. I'd rank them Maddison first, maybe Kulusevski second, Diaz third, and Mount fourth right now. Robertson Hall incoming, I agree, but let's wait and see. What about Sanchez and goalkeeper? I've been talking about him all week, and even in the weeks before pre-season as well. I touted him as the best 4.5 million goalkeeper. Yeah, I think he's a good choice, and even better than I expected for the first 3 game weeks. Robbo Viking needs to deliver. He definitely does. And it also could cause a bit of a headache next week if he produces a big haul this week, and it'll be very tough to part ways with him. Thanks for the stream. I'll catch you later. Enjoy the football in F1. Likewise, Jeff. Always appreciate you dropping by. Robertson is a do or die this game week. I completely agree. Sorry for being late. No worries, mate. Any surprising news? Surprising? I mean, Ronaldo is benched, apparently. I don't think that's surprising, but that's kind of the biggest news that's come out so far. Leeds hype will end this week. I mean, they're facing Brighton, and Brighton are a good team, and I could see Brighton winning. I could see a 2-1 Brighton win or a 1-1. Brighton tend to get the better of Leeds, and I think that could continue. But 2 good teams right now. It should be a good game. Yeah, let's wait and see. Man United won't win at Southampton. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because United are such an inconsistent team, but I'm going for United win. Maybe it's kind of scrappy, 2-1. I can read out my predictions, by the way. You know, I could do this at the end of every stream, or maybe a team selection video. Let me know kind of when you want me to put predictions on that, if you're interested, obviously. I'll just read out my predictions right now. So this is what I wrote yesterday. I'm not going to change it. I don't want to do that. So Southampton 1, United 3. That's what I've gone for. Maybe a bit bold on United there. I think a more realistic prediction is 2-1. I will put that out there. I think that is more realistic. I've gone for Chelsea 2-0 with the assumption that Maddison doesn't start. Brighton 2-1 against Leeds. Man City 2-0 against Palace. Liverpool 3, Bournemouth 0. Brentford 2, Everton 1. Arsenal 3, Fulham 1. But, you know, that's a tough game as well. Wolves 0, Newcastle 1. Aston Villa 1, West Ham 2. And Nottingham Forest 0, Spurs 2. So there you go. Those are my predictions for the games this week. Hoping Leeds beat Brighton and a goal for Rodrigo is enough for me. Well, yeah, I mean, that's also another way of separating yourself from those like myself who don't have Rodrigo, and it's possible. Even if Brighton win, Rodrigo can score. Good luck, Wei-Seng. I took the -4 for Rashford. He should play striker. Martial's out, yeah, and I think he may gain confidence. Fair enough. I still don't trust him or United, but he is such a streaky player, so I do get your point of view. Yeah, Bailey's just someone you can bench from now on. Neto or Pascal Grosch? Grosch is my preference. For this week, it's a bit tougher, but Grosch is a better option in general, so that's the way I'm looking at it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully, it's a much better week. It looks like a good team on paper. Come on, get some points, for Christ's sake. Come on, you should. Arsenal invincible incoming? No, come on. City's in the league. They're the best team. They're probably going to win the league. I mean, it's going to be boring, but there you go. Arsenal could finish second or third. Could is the key word. Realistically, third or fourth is where Arsenal should be aiming for, and winning a trophy like the Europa League or the FA Cup. That would be a good season for Arsenal. Especially if they keep on playing good football and showing signs of progress. Game week 5 starts on Tuesday. Can't wait for it. Yeah, midweek. Oh, God, it's absolutely crazy, isn't it? We've already got these kind of every 2 or 3 days. Bring on the football. Bring on the extra stuff. It's going to be more content, and it's going to be a bit of a pain, you could say, or a bit of a bit tricky to fit in the reaction stream, as well as the transfer tips and the team selection and a best wildcard team if a wildcard becomes very popular. But yeah, I'm going to try to do all of that. Maybe a reaction stream tomorrow. I'll let you guys know. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I've taken a risk in Captain Jesus. I hope it pays off for you, TM, and I hope everyone here does very, very well. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and let's try to get to 13,000 subscribers before pushing on to even bigger targets. And let's get this video to over 200 likes. It'd be much appreciated. For those that are watching later, be sure to drop a like as well. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and you can also become a patron or a channel member. All the links are in the description below. And I'd appreciate even more, actually, if you join the league and also the Discord server. That'd be much appreciated. But thank you very much. I wish you all the best of luck. Enjoy the football and the Formula 1 this week, and I'll see you next time.